This is a call to order for our Wednesday, July 29th, 2026 Reno County Commission meeting. At this time, we will stand and give recognition to the United States of America with a flag salute, and also a recognition to our Savior from Richard Haley, from chaplain for the police and sheriff. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Shall we bow? Lord, this morning, as, Lord, this session comes to order, I pray that you would bless these men, Lord, that have sacrificed their time to serve the county. Thank you for their hard work and diligence, their love for the county, their care and consideration of all the needs that the county has. And Lord, they have a lot of decisions to make, and I pray, Lord, that you would guide them. The Bible says a man deviseth his way, but it's the Lord that directs his steps. And then, Lord, for those that are here with what various business items they, Lord, are here for, I pray that you would, Lord, just give them your grace as they go through and discuss these things. And Lord, may thy will be done. And then, Lord, I'm reminded, and in this room there are two types of people. There are those that are saved, going to heaven, and then there are those that are lost, that are destined for hell. And Lord, you on the cross paid for their sins. And I pray if anybody here today is without Christ, that they would understand their need for a Savior, and that, Lord, you are that payment for the sacrifice of our sins. And we love you, Jesus, and thank you for your grace in our life. And so, Lord, bless these men and each one here today. And I ask it in the name of Jesus Christ, our risen Lord and soon coming Savior. Amen. Thank you.
The only announcement I have, I wanted to make up front because I think it deserves to be at the start of our meeting, because we're looking at budgets. I want to sincerely thank, from the commission standpoint, the work and time put in by our department heads and administration in seeing how they can really utilize your tax dollars to the best use and most efficient use. So just want to say thanks to all the department heads and the agencies. Thank you. Are there any additions or revisions to this agenda, the commission?
Yes, I have one.
Okay, Randy?
I would like to call for an exec session prior to getting into any business items. We can do the consent agenda, that's pretty straightforward, but it's concerning one of the items on there. If we could do that for 10 minutes or so prior to the start of the meeting here.
Okay. Purposes for attorney-client privilege.
Attorney-client privilege would be with Mr. Settle, Mr. Partington, and this board. It would be concerning.
Who would attend?
Pardon me?
Who do you?
All of us and those two, John Settle, Randy, and this board. It'll be for discussion of elected, non-elected officials.
Well, Commissioner and Chairman, it sounds like the purpose is supported. It's been my practice to recommend that any executive session always be included on the agenda that's sent out early to the public. There's no absolute requirement that happen that I'm aware of, but that's always been my practice just because of the purpose of the Open Meeting Act. So that's just my comment.
Okay.
So your recommendation is probably shouldn't be doing this?
Well, it's always been my recommendation that if there's an executive session that's needed, it should be included on the published agenda and not added later.
Well, I'll make comment on that. The agenda was published without foreknowledge on a couple of things that I think need to be discussed in private. Or I can discuss them publicly, whichever you feel comfortable with.
Well, it doesn't matter to me, Commissioner. I just don't want to cross the line with regard to the Open Meeting Act.
I understand.
And my recommendation is if we need to discuss it, then we probably should discuss it in and during the open meeting.
What's the wishes of the commission? I guess we don't have, did you make that form of a motion?
I made that in a form of a motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it and let's put it to a vote.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. We request an executive session to discuss an item with attorney-client privilege. So at this time, is there any discussion? Personally, maybe we could just discuss this in open meetings. Oh, but anyway, that's, we'll do a roll call if there are no further comments.
Commissioner Parks,
Yes.
Commissioner Vincent,
No.
Commissioner Winger,
No.
Commissioner Bugner,
I'm gonna follow the advice of the attorney. No.
Commissioner Hurst.
No. Okay, motion failed. Does anyone want to, next on the agenda is the consent agenda. Does anyone want to pull off any item on the,
Yes, I'd like to table item 6A until the commission has further discussion with that item.
want to pull off 6A and put it down into the business, well, that's business
That is
item.
business. I'd like to table that until the next meeting.
I think Randy, would you comment on that? Because we worked hard to get this that's going, and maybe there's a special reason. that
There is.
Commissioner Parks could talk.
There is. Two of us feel this way, I can tell you.
Commissioners, this is for the bonds that has been sold already. So we have the bonds. This is to, I guess, process that further. This is for the Mills McNew Road. Obviously, 6C is related to that.
Oh, 6C is what I meant.
So, okay. So you wanted
6C.
6C.
6C,
Okay.
6A, yeah, I said the wrong thing.
Okay, I'm
Okay.
sorry, 6C.
Okay.
All right, I'm sorry.
Okay.
My bad. I said wrong letter.
6C, not 6A.
6.
Okay. We got that corrected, that's 6C instead of 6A, all right?
Would you be moving that to the business section?
I'll be moving it to the next meeting where we could discuss it at a later moment.
So there's a motion before the House, I understand, to table 6C to the next meeting. Council, any thoughts, repercussions, et cetera?
I don't think that is an issue that's going to create any potential problems. The process that 6C discusses and relates to is simply a step that must be made in order to proceed with eminent domain. And because of the issues that we have dealt with regarding the easements necessary for the construction of the McNew Road and Mills Avenue project, and the timing with regard to the financing, the bond has already been basically sold. In order for the project to be let out for bid, it's my understanding that we need to have the easements either in hand or we need to have an eminent domain case filed so that we can guarantee that we have the easements necessary for the construction project. And waiting until later in August for the commission to take this up, I think our next meeting is the 12th, is not going to stand in the way of that for very long. I'm in the process of preparing the documentation for the petition at this point, and I wouldn't have it ready before then anyway.
Well,
So I don't have
the
a
whole
problem.
purpose is language 1 and 2 is the fact that a lot of these deals the commission has met on property acquisitions and different things and price and that kind of thing and in an exec session. And we did not on this. And then this kind of language got put in the paper and in our agenda, which I can tell you I'm not for. And so I'm making that public today to exercise that right. I think there's always another way.
Well, and there's no problem with putting this off and waiting. It was my understanding we needed to make that process begin, and so that's what I've done. I've prepared the resolution, but if the commission has some other decision that it wants to make, then I work for the commission. I don't.
Can we, discuss it and get a start on it and then decide, hey, we need to back up and take a little further, deeper look at it and table it, after we get some more information on it? Because, I've heard of something come down the pipe, but I've got no particulars,
It's totally up to the commission. If
Yeah.
you want to table it, I don't see that as creating an issue down the road. And it
I would like
may
to
help.
hear it, and then if we decide that we need more information and stuff and table it, then we can do that at that time. But we're here now, it's on the agenda.
You're welcome to your
Let's
comments,
get
but I
some
made a
facts.
motion to table here.
Is there a second to the motion to table it? This motion to put it till next meeting?
I think I'd second that.
I think that would give us adequate time to go back and see if we can resolve this so we don't use that tactic. And I'm for paying a little more if we have to. I'll just say that publicly. Sometimes you're not in the bargaining position when you're wanting something that somebody doesn't want to give up. And I think it's fair for the county to do the right thing. We're going to get paid back for the bond anyway with some pilot money, so I don't think that's an issue.
I don't think,
He's putting this up for motion and voting on it, not discussing it. That's what I was told.
Don, you seconded it.
After it's seconded.
Yeah, you have
can
a motion.
Yeah,
comments.
we have a motion a second, so we, up for discussion. I know I personally am not in favor of excessive use of eminent domain at all. I've stated that before, but there are times when I didn't think I would see it, but there are times when I feel that it's necessary. It's one of the legal processes that we have, and it gives time enough for people to understand. And I won't go into any more comments now, but I'm not a fan of eminent domain, but it's a legal process that sometimes is necessary if it's not used abundantly, if it's only used for a specific purpose.
Yeah, and I'm not for it either, but I'm totally in the dark here, so I would like to see things started. Idea where we're at, and then if it needs more discussion or talking, we can table it later, can't we? And have a little more to work with if we do that.
This is a motion to table it
Yeah.
till next meeting.
Do we have to table it now, or can we go ahead and discuss it and table it later?
The motion has already been made and
Okay.
seconded to table till next meeting. So that's the motion we'll be voting on here.
Commissioner Vincent, if I'm understanding what you're asking, if you guys pass the resolution today, it just allows the counselor to start the process. You can't table it. Once you're done there, you can't really table it, but I guess you could say, don't go forward.
Well, and the process requires eminent domain, the use of eminent domain requires commission approval and a resolution before that can happen. That's simply the step that we're at here now. In advance of that, it requires also that the facts that would support the need and the process are gathered, and I think that the county's been doing that for several months as we've been working on this project. And so this is simply a procedural step that is required. If the commission, which obviously Commissioner Parks is not in favor of this, it's certainly absolutely fine to put this off until the August 12th meeting so that it can be discussed. And if the commission wants to do it in executive session, it could be discussed during executive session, because the process is actually contemplates the acquisition of real property rights, and because what we're seeking is an easement so that this road construction process can go forward. And from my point of view, I'm happy to do whatever the commission prefers. If the commission wants to put it off and discuss it, then that is not going to hold up the process very much. I'm not ready to
Help
file
me.
that today.
Help me if I make a mistake in my sayings here, but the negotiation process will continue even with a right of eminent domain in process.
That has always been my experience.
And that the process is that there will be 3 appraisers involved to appraise that property.
Correct.
And then that will be presented to both parties, correct? Their
Correct.
outcome.
Yeah,
And it'll also be presented to a judge
A
eventually.
judge will be involved in the case. It will be filed in the district court. And the parties that are involved would be provided notice. And it's a fairly straightforward process. If at the end of the eminent domain process, when the appraisers make their basic award, I guess is the way we describe that, of what they believe the property's value is that's proposed to be taken through eminent domain. Either party can appeal that. But the key to this is that it allows the county to actually go forward with the effort of issuing the necessary documentation in order to get the construction project set out for bids so that it can get closer to the time frame that the county had in mind from the beginning. And so that's the only reason.
I understand all that, and I'm okay with moving forward with this project. I want it to go forward. Trust me, I think it's a good deal for the county. In the end, it's going to pay dividends, and I think we need the power here. I think this project has to go forward. I guess the rub on me was this. When I came back from a few days being gone on vacation, and not one of us on this board, I would assume, was ever told that we were going to use language on this agenda and have it nudge post as eminent domain. And I came back and found that when I came back to start reading documents, and that should have been asked, because we've had other deals where we went back and negotiated before we had to do something like this. And I know there's some in the audience today that are not very happy about that kind of language as well, so after having talked to a few of them, but I'm not for holding this project up at all. I want to move it forward. But I think there's another resolution to this.
Well,
And that's why I want to table it and give you that 2 weeks, and let's get the deal done.
Yeah, and I apologize if I've
Yeah, well,
offended
I just don't think that's
anybody on
language
the
you
commission.
use in my behalf, and I have to basically sponsor this agenda when I come sit down here without asking me. And that's the rub I have, mostly. But I'm absolutely not for imposing taking somebody's personal land. And I understand that they're asking more than what we're offering at fair market value, but I also understand we bought other properties we had to pay a little more for, because when you're wanting something and they're not advertising something, they're going to get more. That's just how it works. That's their property. They're in a bargaining position. The county's not in this situation. Many, many times easements are bought up for more than what they should have just to make a project go forward. And I don't think everybody'd have a problem if we're going to move this project forward if we tell them, hey, we had to spend a little more on this. I mean, that's just my personal opinion. But that's how I feel, and that's the rub on me today, is that somebody did. That's why I wanted an exec session to talk to this board and whoever wrote that. That kind of language shouldn't happen without our knowledge.
I don't know that.
And I give you a chance to do this privately, but it can get worse if you want to keep going.
We've also paid less for land,
We have.
and I don't know that we've ever paid more. Maybe someone has, but the county has not that I'm aware of.
I don't believe.
But anyway, no,
I don't think you want to be, and I don't believe anybody else. This board wants to be of the reputation that we go around, and I know another entity here that does that quite frequently.
Yes.
And I do not want to be part of that.
I'm all for trying to find a resolution without eminent domain, because I'm one of those people that I think, government powers to be shouldn't be just taking land because we can. I mean, it is something that I don't know, most people in the audience and in here might not understand what an easement is, but they're all over this everywhere. Anywhere a utility runs of any kind, they have to have an easement, which is their access to that equipment. And so, that being said, the road's is being built, and they have to have this easement. So they know that the county needs this property. So you're right, Randy. They, are asking maybe more than what the value is, but hopefully we can come up to an agreement where we can mutually buy the property, and the easement doesn't have to go through eminent domain. So, but that's just how I feel, because there is an entity in this area that has taken property before, and you just shake your head because it was okay the way it was. So anyway, that's just my 2 cents worth.
Let me ask a question here. We just used easement and purchase as one and the same. If this is going to be brought up to standards of a county road, and we are going to maintain it as a county road, am I correct? It will no longer be a township road.
Correct.
So we are not getting an easement to have a road there. We are purchasing property. There is a difference,
We're purchasing,
because easements can be canceled in the future. Bridge goes out, we're not going to spend that kind of money. We're going to close that road, whatever happens. That's easements. We are purchasing. So, what are we doing here?
well, the process is the same, and what we are, the property rights that the county has purchased from several of the other owners along this project are in the form of easements for the use, for the construction and maintenance of a roadway.
So we will not have title to that property. We are just getting an easement
We
to
will
put a road
have,
on it.
we will have an easement. That is all we are obtaining. The property underlying the easement remains with the owner of the property at this point.
Okay, thank you, because that is a distinction that makes a difference as to who owns what. In reality, it'll probably never be closed. Yeah. Same end result as a purchase, but but it's not a purchase. Thank you.
It's not a purchase of a fee simple title. That's kind of getting in the weeds of property law, but this is a right that is being purchased as an easement so that the county has the right to use the road for the purposes that are stated in the process, basically.
Okay. I've done both.
Again, it's not something that can't wait until the 12th of August. If
It will
that's
not
what the
affect
commission-
the timing of putting out for bids.
Not likely, not much if at all, because the petition is not ready yet. I've been working on it, but it's not ready, and waiting until the 12th is probably not going to impact the actual filing time frame.
If we wait till the 12th, now, will this be on the business items and be for public? It's not an executive session we're talking about on the 12th.
It can be an executive session
Well, I'd be for more time, but if it's not absolutely necessary, I don't see why it shouldn't be public discussion on business items instead of an executive session. If it has to be executive because of payments of land, for maybe hurting the value of buying land and stuff, that I understand. But if it's just to discuss it, I just see it be public.
One of the approved purposes of an executive session by statute is to discuss the acquisition of real property. Now, this is an acquisition. What is being proposed would be an acquisition of a real property right. And so it would be a proper subject for executive session. My recommendation is like I said, and I'll do this from now on as long as you guys have me here. If you don't want me to do this, you can send me somewhere else. But my purpose is to try to protect the commission and make certain that the commission follows all the statutes. And it's always been my recommendation that if you're going to have an executive session, it should be included in the agenda prior to the meeting beginning. And so if the commission would like to do that on August 12th, that's certainly fine.
I have a suggestion, Randy or John, that there are 7 reasons that we go to an executive session. Those are the only 7, only reason. And I'd suggest maybe we each have a copy of those so we understand for certain what we can do.
I'm happy to put something like that.
Well, I understood that. That's why I asked for it. So,
Yeah.
because some of it I can't still say today, so.
But
Well,
we have a
and we
motion.
can have an executive session and still then come back in and discuss it if it's, yeah.
Any vote would have to
Any,
be public.
yeah.
It'd be
any
in public,
decision.
yeah, there's no
Yeah, that's what I'm
decision.
saying, so,
Session, come back and have.
I would
but
just
Ron
say-
down there is he's not quite understanding how we can still do an executive session and still discuss it in public.
It
Well,
could be
it
on the
sounds to
agenda
me,
for both of them.
it sounds to me like as much as everybody wants to get this project underway, but there have been some questions. And so from what I understand, council has said that it will not affect the timing. I think maybe the timing to get appraisers may be affected, the timing to go out and bid may be affected.
But
We don't know.
it's not going to be affected
Okay.
for many days or even, more than maybe a couple of weeks, unless the decision at that point is that the commission does not want to proceed.
All right. So I think had that discussion. Is there any more discussion, questions? If not, Abigail, what do
Can we-
have?
can we-
Dawn?
Read the, what we're voting on again, the motion.
Commissioner Parks' motion to table item 6C until the next meeting in August 12th.
Along with who would attend. Yeah. And you don't have to say that. We've heard that, so.
Well, my intent, if I need to add that on there, is for the purpose of negotiations. Maybe we can clear this up and we don't have to make this move.
All right, you've heard the motion. Dawn, no question? Questions on the motion? So let's have a roll call.
Commissioner Parks,
Yes.
Commissioner Vincent,
Yes.
Commissioner Winger,
Yes.
Commissioner Bogner,
Yes.
Commissioner Hurst.
Yes. Thank you. All right. Let's go to business items at 6A then.
Oh, we haven't done the
Consent agenda.
Oh, I just didn't see a list there. That's why I skipped over it. Sorry about that, Randy. Consent agendas, vouchers, bills, or payments owed by the county and related taxing units.
I'd move that we.
We've all seen those.
Yeah, I'd move that we pass the consent agenda as presented by staff.
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Parks,
Yes.
Commissioner Vincent,
Yes.
Commissioner Winger,
Yes.
Commissioner Bogner,
Yes.
Commissioner Hurst.
Yes. All right, now we'll go to 6A. Resolution 2026-29, the authorizing and directing the issuance, sale, and delivery of general obligation bonds, Series 2026-A, transcript of proceedings, executed bond purchase agreement, and related documents authorizing said bond issuance for the McNew Mills Road project. It's yours, now that I got done with that lengthy debate.
You did very well. Good morning, Commissioners. Brett Shogren with Stiefel Public Finance in Wichita. As the chairman just said, these are the general obligation bonds to finance the McNew and Mills Road project. At a previous meeting, you adopted a bond sale resolution authorizing us to move forward with the marketing of the general obligation bonds for this project, as long as the certain parameters were made that we didn't exceed the $7 million, I believe it was $7,020,000, and that the true interest cost did not exceed 4%. As long as those parameters were made, we could lock in the deal, have the chairman sign the bond purchase agreement, and that happened last week. I want to start off by saying the goal of the financing, since this project is a road project that's going to benefit the Evergy plant, and there's a grant that is supposed to come. The goal was to finance this project with the payments to be made with non-county existing funds, okay? And so we were able to amortize the bond issue over 9 years. The structure changed a little bit since the last time I was here. The deal actually got a little bit smaller. But last week on Wednesday, we did some pre-marketing, and Thursday we held an order period to market the bonds. We got all of the bonds sold. I believe in your packet you should have the final numbers for the bond issue. We ended up marketing a $5,415,000 issue with some premium generated and an initial payment by Evergy for the first segment. We were able to fund $9,477,324 into the project fund. The idea is the first payment, which is going to be on March 1st, is going to be paid for with bond proceeds or capitalized interest. And that the idea for that is to allow the timeline for the project to be constructed, and then the KDOT grant to come through within the next 12 to 15 months. And then once the KDOT grant comes through, the KDOT grant will begin making the bond payments until the Evergy project's done. And at that time, the pilot payments start rolling in to begin making the payments for the remaining years up until 2035. I'm sure you're aware the planned pilot payments are approximately $1.8 million to be escalated approximately 1.5% per year. And we were able to market the bonds at a true interest cost of 3.67%, so lower than the 4% we were originally estimating. And the original plan was the bond payments after the KDOT grant is expended would be approximately $1.4 million. They're actually going to be about $1,350,000 approximately. And so there's a little bit of fudge factor there between the planned pilot payments and the bond payments. And so if the pilot payments begin sooner than we're planning, you'll have a little bit extra money and possibly pay off the bonds a little bit early. I think there's a very good chance of that. But we put in a lot of buffer room here just in case there's some delays in the construction or delays in the grant coming or things like that. But basically, we marketed the $5,415,000 issue last Thursday. Within the parameters, the chairman signed the bond purchase agreement. There is a resolution for consideration this morning. We call it the bond issuance resolution. It has all of the details, the security of the bonds, the repayment structure, the early redemption, and it's been updated with the results of the sale. After adoption, it puts everything in place for the closing of the bond issue, which is scheduled for August the 13th. After adoption of that, hopefully you adopt that, we will order the bonds printed. We'll help bond counsel, which is Kevin Cowan at Gilmore & Bell, which couldn't be here today. So I'm trying to fill in for him. Allow us to put together the transcript, submit that to the Attorney General's office for approval. And as I said, the bond issue is scheduled to close August 13th, which is when you'll have the rest of the funds for the project. I'd be happy to stand for any questions you may have.
Questions? Well, I want to thank Stifel and you and the administration and all the people in the administration office for putting this together. And because it was a pretty good challenge to get everything together. From what I understand, there had to be there's a lot of moving parts to this.
It's like a puzzle we had to put together. So we like challenges, though.
All right, no questions? Do I hear a motion to approve Resolution 2026-29 as presented by staff?
I'll make that motion to approve Resolution 2026-29.
Second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded to approve Resolution 2026-29. Any more discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Parks?
Yes.
Commissioner Vincent?
Yes.
Commissioner Winger?
Yes.
Commissioner Bogner?
Yes.
Commissioner Hurst?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate the opportunity to work with you. Thank you.
Next on the agenda is a presentation regarding and approval needed for the 2026-2027 health and dental insurance premium schedule. Helen? You
Good morning,
worked hard on this.
Commissioners. Good morning, Commissioners. Helen Foster, Human Resources Director. What I have before you this morning is just the approval for insurance premiums for open enrollment. We have it scheduled already for August 17th through the 28th. And so with this year, we didn't have any plan changes, significant plan changes. We did have a deductible change on the qualified high deductible health plan, and that's per IRS regulations. So the individual deductible will go up to $3,400, and then the family deductible will go up to $6,000. So those are the only changes in plan design for this year. The stop loss coverage, we're still waiting for the final estimate on that. However, our insurance, the premium schedule is funded up to $5.1 million, which is what our target was in order to fund our health plan. So if you want to go, Randy, to the next page. This is our plan design. So the first one is going to be our PPO plan. Exact same design, $1,500 deductible for individual, $3,000 for family. The insurance premium, there was a shift in the employer contributions to the employees. So the employees are funding a little more of the health plan this year, and that's been a constant that we've been doing that shift for the last 3 years. With that being said, the insurance premiums for the employee child, employee spouse, and employee family plans are where the significant raises were. So our plans are benchmarked every year. And with that benchmarking, we are right in the average for our individual or premium payments for employees. However, we are quite a bit under what the average is for the family plans. So that would be your employee child, employee spouse, and employee family. So those are where you'll see the increase. Tobacco surcharge has an increase on it. Part-time surcharge stayed the same. And then the next plan that you have is your qualified or non-qualified high deductible health plan. This one is exactly the same as well, $2,800 individual deductible, $5,600 family deductible. And again, you're going to see most of the increase in the family plans. And then the next plan is where we have the significant changes in deductible. So this is our qualified plan. Qualified plan has to follow IRS regulations, and IRS does depict what that individual and family deductible should be. Our individual deductible is per IRS standards, so $3,400. The $6,000 is a raise on the family side to get closer to, the IRS is continually raising that. So we went ahead and started being proactive to go ahead and raise that a little bit so that we don't see a big jump in that deductible when IRS changes the regulations on it. With that, a lot of the increase, again, is going to be in the family side of the plan. This is the plan that's also benchmarked for ACA affordability standard. And so this plan does meet, this will be the first year in 3 years that we meet affordability without any safe harbors. So this plan, we won't have, when I do the 1095s, that's what reflects that we didn't have to use any safe harbors. Typically, we use a W-2 safe harbor. And so on the very last page, when we get to that, you'll kind of see how that works out. The dental plan is at the bottom of this plan. There's no change in the dental plan. So everything is exactly the same, including premiums. So no change. And then this next page just kind of shows the funding. So if you look at the top three green areas, that's employee fund or employee funded premiums. And so the employees are funding 17.86% of the health plan. That is up from 17.45 last year. And then if you look at the blue and green just under that red total, that is going to be the employer side of things. And so the total contributions just in premiums is that 4.9 million. However, we also have contributions that account for the tobacco surcharge that's not included in that, the part-time surcharge, and the retiree and COBRA premiums that we collect from retirees and individuals on the COBRA health plan. And so when you take those and put those into the figure, we come up to where we're 34,000 over that 5.1 figure that we were aiming for. And that's not including our reimbursements as well, our RX reimbursements. So if we want to go to the next page, this is the ACA information that I referred to. So under the ACA, the affordability rate had been going down, which had hurt us in the long run of trying to keep that individual premium rate affordable under ACA standards. This year, they actually exceeded the affordability rate past what they had in place when the ACA had the act passed. So it's a lot higher. That brings us in, if you look at that first block, that's just taking the rate of pay safe harbor. $12.90 is our lowest paid employee. 30 hours a week is what's considered full-time under ACA. And then times 52 weeks gives you your annual income and that affordability rate. So $167.03 is what the premium can be under the rate of pay safe harbor. However, like I said, this year we don't have to use safe harbors. So we had to be under $129.90. And so with our plan, we are at, $129. So we're just under that threshold. And then I just put the affordability rates on here just kind of as a reference of how the history has shaken out with the affordability rates. Do you guys have any questions for me? No questions? My request is I didn't get any eye contact, so I wasn't sure if you guys were just thinking about questions. So my ask on this is to pass the premiums as presented before you. If you have suggestions, then I need very specific suggestions, and I would want permission to be able to push forward. With our open enrollment being August 17th through the 28th, we have to get everything published and out and ready to go for the portal. So do you guys have any suggestions, or do you request any changes? Okay.
I guess it's pretty well said.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll motion that we approve as recommended.
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded to approve the
Thank you.
2027 dental, health and dental plans. Any more discussion? If not, we'll take roll call.
Commissioner Parks,
Yes.
Commissioner Vincent,
Yes.
Commissioner Winger,
Yes.
Commissioner Bogner,
Yes.
Commissioner Hurst.
Yes. Okay, next on the agenda, the Horizons Mental Health Board recommendation as Reno County Representative. Randy, do you want to take this? We had conversations about this before.
Yeah, this was brought up at the last meeting last week, that the county representative, there's a spot that has previously been held by the health department director. That's vacant right now. So Horizons has requested that the county commission make a recommendation for that spot. They would take it to the board and then vote for approval. There's also an open spot in Reno County. It's not a representative of Reno County government, but could be filled by anyone that lives in Reno County. That could be recommended. Doesn't take your guys' vote and approval of that one, but if you know anyone, or if you wanted to recommend anyone to Horizons, I think they would be open to, because they do have that open spot. Karen Hammersmith, the co-director at the health department, has expressed interest and is ready to be on the board if you guys want someone from the health department. And so at the last meeting last week, you guys wanted a week to think about it. So that's why it's on the agenda today.
I would take a motion to approve Karen Hammersmith as the representative from Reno County. And also, I would like to see us put an announcement out on the website that says there is an opening here to apply with the Horizons Mental Health Center. If you're interested, and let them make their qualifications.
I'll make the motion as recommended by staff that Karen Hammerschmidt be appointed to this board.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, moved and seconded to appoint Karen Hammersmith as the Reno County representative on the Horizons Mental Health Board. Discussion?
Yeah, if she's really happy, she needs to smile. There, I got one.
All right. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Parks,
Yes.
Commissioner Vincent,
Yes.
Commissioner Winger,
Yes.
Commissioner Bogner,
Yes.
Commissioner Hurst.
Yes. Okay.
Before we leave this issue, could I make
You
a
go right
comment?
ahead. You go right ahead.
Couple questions and comment. I was reading over in what was presented to us. If I remember right, we have 4 openings on this board that we can fill. Right now, there is 1 unfilled, but there's no names in, here we go. Nomination pending approval on 3 of them. Have we done that? Or are they serving now?
Those are
Because
Horizons board, or pending approval from them,
okay,
not from the county commission.
okay,
The Reno County representative is the only one that you guys need to have a motion and send
This would
someone
be
to
an
the
at-
board.
so this at-large that's open is also in their hands.
Yes.
not in ours. Okay, now I understand what's going on. Thank you.
Next on the agenda is county budget discussion. And so with this in mind, I'm going to turn it to start over with Randy,
Okay.
our administrator. And
Okay, thank you. So commissioners, as a reminder, this is, at the previous meeting, you guys set the maximum mill levy. And I'm going to go down to that page. Just, there's a lot of items or papers in the packet, but or did I not have them? Well, you had set the maximum budget of 40.22 mils, which is $32.874 million. And then on September 9th is the public hearing to where you will be asked to approve a budget. You'll have a public hearing for the R&R and the budget. And at that point, you'll be asked to approve a budget, or it could wait till the next, you'd have a special meeting maybe to still get it done in time. But it was decided to, between that time of the maximum and before we get to that public hearing, for you guys to have budget discussions, to talk about cuts, because I believe it's your desire, and I think, and I had mentioned in the previous meeting, there are ways that we can cut the budget. So we can cut, but we needed to set that maximum. So today's kind of that first commission meeting of starting to try to find cuts, or where you guys want to focus. Just kind of as a point, every mill, 1 mill, if you look at the assessed valuation, just for quick reminder, if you take out the 3 digits at the end, every mill is $817,349. So that's what it would take to reduce the budget by 1 mill, would be $817,000. Just keep that in mind as we're talking about cuts. To cut it back, that's what it takes. So I'm going to go, and in the packet, I handed out to all commissioners, and there's a few copies in the back table if anyone wants to look at that. But we did kind of put, this is what, when I met with a couple individual commissioners we had, of first breaking down the tax dollar, which this is the one, as we talk about all taxes levied with the maximum budget, this is roughly where the money's going. So when people would be paying taxes based on what it's now, even if you reduce the budget, this is going to change, will change a little bit, but not too much, and we'll update it. But just kind of wanted to point out that there are employee benefits is just health insurance. Or there may be a couple other small items related that aren't spread out from departments, but as we talked about our previous budgets, the FICA, Medicare, CAPERS, KPNF, all of that is now shown up as expenditures in department budgets, operating budgets, not in the employee benefits. So that's just your health insurance that you guys just talked about on rates. So it's 6% of the taxes, or 8.8%. Special equipment is 6%. Cash reserve, which is that $4 million in the general fund, is 5.8%. Sheriff jail is 18%, and road and bridge is 19%. So just kind of, and then all the others are down listed here. So wanted to mention that. And then also, as you guys start discussing today, see if I can highlight or get this larger, as we talked about the maximum. So the current max is 40.22 mils. The mill rate right now for this year is 37.8. to get to that level would take $1.978 million in cuts.
How much?
1.978 to have a flat mill levy. That's still, of course, a tax increase because of valuations, but that's the flat mill levy. To get the revenue neutral rate would be 35.7 mills. And so that's going to be between $3.5 and $4 million in cuts. And as you've probably looked through the budget, there's, without getting rid of a lot of capital and probably staff numbers, it would be very difficult to get to that amount for the revenue neutral rate. The 1.9 million, that's, I guess, as we kind of get into discussions, but that was part of the overview I wanted to bring up. Also in the packet in front of you, is, I'm gonna shrink as we go into things. Here's a high overview of the CIP that's listed, and then that's just the technology special equipment part of the CIP. I know I'm scrolling quick, just to give you a quick highlight. Partner agencies is listed here, and then we get into the different general fund revenues, general fund details, and that's when we would start getting into department by department discussions, depending on how much you want to cover today. I had requested all directors be here in case you have questions about their budgets. Department updates. I had requested, we had talked about this at a leadership meeting last month or earlier this month about possible cuts. The ones that I have kind of listed from the departments that reached out to me, the district attorney had about $5,000 in cuts that he found in a line item for coroner transportation line. The facilities department had, by my calculations, just under $65,000 in cuts. That is reducing or removing a maintenance tech position, which is about $30,000. And then CIP reduction of about $35,000, which includes $15,000 less in the youth services generator, $10,000 less in extension office remodel, and $10,000 less for the health department roof replacement. Aging transportation, Candace gave me a list of cuts between $21,200 to $61,200. $12,800 of this is various line item cuts in aging. $8,400 is various cuts in transportation line items. And then the $40,000 is if you guys rescind the resolution of the $40,000 that's transferred to the health department, you remove that from the aging budget, that's $40,000 that would be removed. And then information technology, IT, Tim gave me various cuts or changes. The ones that what I have listed here is basically remove, and Tim, if Tim's here, he can correct me, $27,500 from his operational budget for items that should be covered in the CIP for special equipment. It may have been double booked, so there's $27,500 we could remove from his operation budget that's already covered. As long as the special equipment budget doesn't also get cut that same, then we would be out that. That's a quick overview for department updates. There were other departments I know we're looking at various ways we could cut, but we can talk about that depending on when we get into departments if there's additional cuts.
Is those cuts reflective in the 2.2% raise in the mill?
No, those are after
that
yes.
figure.
Yeah, we had previously made other cuts or changes in cash and CIP that we had felt that we could make cuts on that before we had that maximum budget. This is after the maximum budget. So that's about $158,000 in cuts that those 4 departments found so far. Not that there may be other cuts, but that's when you start getting into operations, programs, and capital line items.
So we found that 107,000 to cut off of our maximum?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how much was that?
$158,184. And again, that doesn't mean that there's not other cuts possible.
That's what's been found
That's
so
what-
far.
Yes. As we get into CIP, I guess I'll start talking about the discussion of the capital. Okay, scroll past it. Here's kind of the overview of the capital items that are in here. And I guess I'll ask, that's kind of how when Chairman Hurst and I talked about setting up the agenda for today, for the schedule, does that work for everyone to go through the capital and then talk about that? Or do you want, with directors here, to go straight into departments or partner agencies? There may be some partner agencies here. I just kind of wanted what you feel is the best use of time, but if you want, I can keep going on capital.
Well, I think, what would you, the commission, think about, okay, as we go through the capital item, we've got different departments with capital items. If there's a question on that capital item, a reduction or not to have that item, the department head can come up and ask a question. What do you think of that? In other words, got the appraiser on for a vehicle purchase?
Well, and Commissioner, I would recommend Ron Brubaker for automotive. He took care of all the automobiles for CIP, so
That's
he can
fine.
talk about what's needed, for the various departments.
Good morning, Commissioners. Ron Brubaker, Automotive Department. What are you looking at? What's your questions, I guess, directly?
I guess the question was, first off, on the auto would be special equipment, would be the vehicle purchase for an appraiser, which is $60,000 and $30,000.
It's 30. So Commissioners, on this sheet, the request, the FY 2027 request, that column is what the directors had mentioned to Ron or to me, and the CA, County Administrator, that's what I made cuts in talking with Ron on automobiles. That's what my recommendation to cut is when we set the maximum.
Okay, the ask was for 60 and
for two vehicles, it was reduced to maybe only needing one. So the appraiser has a vehicle, emergency management has a vehicle. Those are both replacements. Health departments replace one vehicle. They asked for two. The sheriff, the $293,000. Just kind of quick reminder, that is 3 patrol vehicles, a sergeant truck. Those are being recommended to be kept in the budget, and then there's 3 detective administrative vehicles that could be up for debate. And I believe Ron, do you remember what the dollar amount per vehicle was? It $30,000 for those?
29 or 30,000 per unit for the detective administration vehicles.
And then facilities had a vehicle. The 20,000 for the sheriff, above those, that's for outfitting, so that needs to stay in there.
That's for the patrol units.
And I hope that the commission, well, in fact, I'm gonna help the commission on this, that we stay on point on this and don't venture off so we can get some progress done today.
So yes,
Question, speak up. Comment, speak up.
And commissioners, and I know Ron can talk about maybe the need for vehicles. Just a reminder, I think some of the vehicles can be removed, but that's just deferring it. And I think with the automotive department for these vehicles, he can take care of them and continue, Derek, and the intern can continue to take care of all the vehicles, and we'll be okay for obviously the non-patrol units, but the normal everyday vehicles, it's just they will just keep getting older, the cost will go up, but at some point they will need to be replaced, just as a reminder. But we could cut some of them to help with the 27 budget.
it's good to have a plan for replacement.
And during my budget hearing, that's what I presented to you guys, was trying to get a plan, because we have deferred purchases in previous years, to help with the budgetary issues. It's ultimately your guys' decision. Randy and I discussed, we did reduce some of them down from 2 to 1. But ultimately, it's your guys' decision. Like Randy said, we could cut them. There's going to be additional maintenance cost, because the majority of our fleet is aging, because we have deferred them for several years.
Yeah.
What kind of mileage is on them?
We have vehicles, we have 2 or 3 pushing 200,000. We have a lot of vehicles between 120 and 160,000 miles.
Several of those higher mileage ones are ones that we've traded between departments, right? When they get a new
The two
one,
with,
it goes
the
down.
two that I'm aware of with 200,000 were previous sheriff department patrol vehicles that were transferred to other departments. The ones in the mid to high 100s, some of those were purchased brand new with 0 miles, and they've been in the fleet 16. We've got one that's 18 years old. It's 150,000 miles, and that's in the health department. They've been great vehicles. It's just, we're looking at almost 20 years on some of these
Yeah.
vehicles. We maintain them, that's not an issue, but it's getting to the point on some of these older vehicles, parts are becoming obsolete.
Yeah. Well, there's a due date on everything.
Yeah. Randy and I's discussion on our monthly, that's where we came up with, reducing them from 2 to 1. But we definitely do not want to cut the marked patrol units.
No.
Those, we have to stay on point with those.
This reflecting on your request in the CA, that's already included into our budget now. That's not going to be additional.
Correct.
cost.
Yes.
Yeah, you're already there
Well,
on those.
Correct. So, yeah, the CA line column, that's what's in the maximum
If we
budget.
knock
That's
off,
there.
if we knock off 50,000, it's already knocked. It's
You would have
here.
to, you would have to reduce from that column
From that column.
now to reduce the
Yeah.
maximum. So for example, if you took one of the admin detective vehicles, that's 30,000. If you
Yeah.
remove facilities, that's 30,000. That's kind of,
What about the on the EMS emergency management 52? I
That's
think
for a
we discussed-
replacement truck.
that's replacing Adam's truck, the vehicle he
truck.
drives now. If you remove that, it just pushes it a year or two later.
How old's that truck?
17.
17.
Yeah.
How many
It
miles?
was about 90,000. Those historically emergency management vehicles were set up on a 10-year replacement cycle,
17.
and that's why it's budgeted for the 2027
And
year.
the sheriff's vehicles, was that the ones that were wrecked, or?
No,
No.
those have already been
They
replaced.
replaced. These are
Those
replaced.
are in our possession now. All that has all been taken care of. This is for next year.
For next year.
This is all scheduled replacements for next year.
Well, the 200,000 mile vehicles that, what, health department you said has them?
Appraisers.
Appraisers.
Appraisers, yeah. And then youth services there, one of theirs is like 193 or 197. It is their secure transport vehicle. It does not get driven that much. But yeah, we've got,
But it could be some long trips,
yeah.
if I understand.
Yeah, if they have to secure transport somebody, yes.
It's a lot of miles to send people a long ways in a car like that.
What about the appraiser? That's a new vehicle for them?
No, that would be a used vehicle. The vehicles with 30,000 price range, that's generally a used vehicle, trying now to account for a trade-in of whatever we have. We allow them 30,000 plus the trade-in value to find a used vehicle.
And Ron, what
like for appraiser, for example, what vehicle would he be getting rid of?
The last,
What do you think?
the one he'd be getting rid of be I think it's a 13 Ford Police Interceptor utility, a Ford Explorer. Generally, the past two they've purchased have been Ford Escapes, and they've been happy with their Ford Escapes. They get great mileage, haven't been real high in maintenance cost. We've been buying used vehicles. I think the one was like 16,000 miles. We bought another one with 22,000 miles on it.
Like program cars or rental cars? Or
Just trade-ins, not necessarily rental vehicles or anything like that, but we do try to stay with basic white or gray, no fancy aluminum wheels, just steel wheels, basic, no sunroof, no leather interior unless it's just a standard option.
air conditioning?
Yeah.
Well,
Well, and these are all, this list is not a list of, any department that just wants a vehicle to go, here and there. They're actually purpose-driven vehicles. Emergency management, the appraiser, we have to have those done, and they have to be done on a timely manner. If you have a robbery in your property and you live, 80 miles or 90 miles from here, the sheriffs have to send the sheriff, but then they also send a detective.
Right.
And evidence gathering and things like that. So they can't just be cars that are going to break down where you're out 80 miles and you have to get a tow truck, or you have to send you out or somebody else to try and get it to at least run to get it back here. I personally have a car that has 216,000 miles, and I just spent $1,100 on it to get it where I could drive it in town. I don't take it on the highway, but it's my back to work school and car type car. But it's getting to the point where things are starting to really wear out because of the mileage. So I hate to see a vehicle that we're using for any, health department reasons where they're going out and checking patients, and you got a car that's got that many miles, transporting kids for the youth shelter, 190,000 mile car, and again, you're 100 miles away picking up a child to bring them here, and it breaks down, and it's 100 degrees outside. It's not a very good deal. So I understand we're trying to make cuts, and it looks like, you and Randy have gotten together and made some cuts. So appreciate that, but again, we don't want to kick the can down the road too much because that can's going to get crushed.
Right. Randy and I also, earlier in the year, we reduced court services fleet by one. We transferred that one to another department so it gets better utilized. And also on the health department side, they requested two. We reduced it down to one on their request, but we're still looking at reducing their fleet by one. So we'd be getting rid of two vehicles and just replacing one.
Appreciate the hard work.
yeah, I'm okay with it, the way it says.
Okay.
We need to have the
you
vehicles,
pretty well-
and you're, 6.5 dozen the others to trade in or sell it
Right.
at the auction or whatever. You're not going to get anything out of any of the vehicles anyway.
Hey.
So scrap price,
Yeah.
basically. So, yeah.
All right, well, then I'll move on so that we can get through things to
Thank
the
you.
Thank you,
CIP items. Again, we had made some changes, but I will note on facilities, the annex space utilization, the request was 150, but Kyle made changes to where 10,000 here and 140,000 here on special equipment, and that's because of 10,000 would be for the actual walls, structure, and 140,000 would be more furniture as we rearrange. And that was as we talked. The commission authorized a space utilization survey work done, a master plan about 3-4 years ago, before some of you were on commission. Maybe it was 4 or 5, and all the departments that needed space, we looked at what their needs were. One of the items was the treasurer, and looking at the annex building, the appraiser's in a very large space, probably more space than they need. Treasurer's in a small space that's not adequate. Register of Deeds has a large space. A lot of that's because of the records. As we start shrinking down the need to have on-site records, that will open some space up. The clerk has their space, but we were looking at rearranging to better utilize so that the treasurer
could have more space, to have those lines and be more efficient for the people coming in and paying their taxes, and seeing what we could rearrange with other departments in that building. So I had requested Kyle put it on the CIP to at least as part of a discussion. We may not be ready in 27 to do anything. This would be one kind of low-hanging fruit. It could be removed and we could wait for another time, though I will say that luckily the Register of Deeds did give up a little bit of space for the treasurer for an added tag clerk. That has helped, but I think she's still needing more space. As another example, the treasurer doesn't really have an office even. Not that she would be in one, but if she needs to meet with personnel, she has to use someone else's office or other space. So it's not ideal over there. So we do want to make some changes at some point, but it's not urgent, I guess. It's needed, but it's not urgent.
I got one question. How many vehicles does the emergency management need? Adam, help me.
So
How many do you have?
On the vehicle wise, emergency management has 2 vehicles for the county, and we have 3 vehicles. One of them is a grant funded vehicle that we can't drive every day, and we have 2 that are driven every day. And I can tell you 100%, we need 2 vehicles. Those vehicles are tools for us to go out in the community, to respond to calls, and there's things we do in those vehicles that we can't do in a personal vehicle. So we have what we need currently.
I understand you and Kyle have made arrangements, or Randy was talking about it with a dual wheel on trailer.
So the dual wheel vehicle, that's our grant funded vehicle. That's a Homeland Security vehicle. That's not a vehicle that can be driven every day, but it can be driven for special purposes. One of those things that can get used for is if facilities need a 3/4 ton or larger vehicle to pull a piece of equipment around, that truck can be utilized for it. However, it can't be a daily driver responding to emergencies.
What's the other 2 vehicles you have? Your truck and another one?
The other 2 vehicles is a 3/4 ton Dodge, and then the other one is a 1/2 ton Ford, and they're both response vehicles.
Okay, and what year are they?
Mine's a 17, and the other one, I believe, is a 2023. So we're generally on about a 10-year replacement on those emergency vehicles. The miles don't always tell the story. When they respond to a scene, they idle for hours and hours and hours on end while the emergency equipment's going.
I mean, I'm looking from the outside, but to me, a 3/4 ton ought to be handled in any trailer that you have, rather than have to have a dually.
So the 3/4 ton does not handle every trailer we have. We currently have a tower trailer that is pushing 20,000 pounds. That 1 ton dually is actually too small for the trailer we have. And even if we got rid of that 1 ton dually, the money doesn't go back to the county. That money would go back to the South Central Homeland Security Council. So the only thing we're doing to that dually is maintaining it. No county tax dollars were used to purchase the vehicle, and if it ever needed a replacement in the future, the county tax dollars wouldn't be used to replacement. We would go back to the Homeland Security Council to ask for replacement for that.
So it's South Central.
Correct.
We don't have it. We don't own it.
On paper, we insure it and we maintain it, but we don't technically own it, if that makes sense.
All right.
Should we put our input on this as we go, or should we save it and get through the directors and let them go and then discuss it?
Directors are here for if you have questions,
If you have
not
questions.
to present anything. If you have questions, so if you have changes and you guys can come to a consensus, now would be the time to make the changes so we can start putting them in the budget, and then directors can respond. If you're going to make cuts, they can give you the impacts.
Is 52,000 for a new vehicle?
52,000 is for a new vehicle. It would be for a new 3/4 ton. The 3/4 ton, we have some trailers that are larger than what a 1/2 ton can pull. So we used to have all 3/4 ton vehicles, and to try and save our taxpayers some money, we went to 1 3/4 ton instead of having our whole fleet 3/4 ton or larger. So we've done that for cost savings in the
Could you
past.
find a used one and save about 12 or 13 or 15,000?
On a used vehicle, for the amount of miles and the hours we put on it, I don't think we'd be saving money long-term for the county. Like I said, a 10-year replacement on an emergency vehicle, that's pushing it out quite a bit.
Well, and you're pushing it, finding one for that amount new, so, yeah.
Well, I think we could, I mean, yours has got to have 9 years. We could go one more year and, I mean, sure, we're just pushing it off, but we could do that. And I don't think it's going to be worth a whole bunch less in 1 year than it is now.
No,
I mean,
but I've heard that thing run, and he needs another truck.
I'm not, I've seen it. It looks nice, but I've not
Just
I've not
saying.
heard it. But I mean, it's not at its 10 years is what I'm getting at.
Commissioner, this
I know,
is
I
for
just-
27, so it would be the 10 years.
It
Yeah.
would be at
It'll
the
be
10
It'd
replaced
be
next
after
year.
that. Yeah, I
We
understand
kind of
that.
was moving on, and then we backed
I
up
just
here.
just looking back at mine, I've got a 93,000 on a 2015. And it's, you know, I just,
So I'll tell
I'm
you,
trying to look at ways to save some money,
Sure.
okay?
our emergency vehicles get used completely differently than what a personal vehicle does. I mean, they're expected to drive 100 miles an hour down the road and at the same time be expected to idle for 12 or 15 hours on a scene.
Yeah, and
I mean,
that's-
they're used a lot different.
That's worse than
what a
mileage.
driver is.
So, yeah, that's harder on them than mileage.
Yeah, that's just my recommendation.
So we're not gonna come up with any savings here,
Well,
right?
On
Well, I
the
think
vehicle,
the savings, we could cut some of that remodel deal. You could still open up and use furniture for more space, because you're not gonna be ready within a year to be able to build office and that kind of stuff, are you?
No.
Over at the treasurer, I mean, even if
no,
she
we're
re-
waiting on the digitization.
I mean,
so-
even if she reduces, you could still put a temporary wall and scoot them over and give them some room till we're ready for the whole construction phase of it.
Right, Commissioner,
Yeah,
the 10 and the 150,000 total between the two, to me, and Kyle, if you have a different opinion, let me know, but I think that could be removed at this point, and we
I
just
think
put it
so.
in next year's budget.
I think
That's
so, too.
150 that isn't going to,
Well, I think it has to happen, but I don't think we're in a timeline this year anyway.
Right.
They're still working on
digitization, yes.
But
We're,
that-
we're,
that- that's to take off
150
10,000.
was mentioned. I think we're at 130 right here on that line item.
Special equipment down below.
Oh, we're
140,
down here.
And the 10,000 up here.
Okay. There's where you get your number. I'm sorry.
But yeah, I think that would be,
So
I think that would be
Okay.
good
we could cut
to,
150 with these
Yes.
two items.
Yes.
More than what we have now.
Correct. Any cuts that were recommended, Commissioner, will be a reduction from what that maximum is.
Okay.
Um,
That's a start.
Well,
Um,
we're to 300,000 with what we did up above.
yeah.
Be 150,000, right?
yeah, 150.
Well, they're talking about the ones the departments had found that I mentioned, so that's close to 300.
Add with
Yeah.
it.
So we're getting
Yeah.
down there to maybe double that a little bit somewhere and
And
top
Commissioners,
of the mill, that'd be all.
I would say on the courthouse, the front entrance doors, and Kyle can give a very quick overview.
Good morning. Kyle
Morning,
Stewart,
Kyle.
Director of Facilities.
Thanks for the cuts you've made already.
Very welcome. So with the next item on the list being the front entrance doors to the courthouse, that has been a problem for several months ongoing. So the doors are aged out, parts are obsolete. So we are resourcing to having to buy used parts or secondhand parts to get this door repaired. So this door, pretty cumbersome to the sheriff's department and the deputies that sit up front there. So when the doors are open, not functioning, they're having to escort people through because they have to close one side of it. It's just a mess. So the $50,000 proposed would be for a full replacement of both doors, the entrance and exit doors for the front of the courthouse.
$50,000.
Do they have to
Is
be,
that all the glass on the sides? I mean, that's the total entrance. So
Yes.
it's actually 4 doors.
Technically, yes, it'd be four. So there's 2 automatic sliders, and then they have the 2 kind of pedestrian just walk through doors.
And those are vestibule doors. So are we, you open one, then you open the other.
Correct.
That total on all that, I'm trying to figure out how we get to 50,000.
So the first quote that was obtained came in at $43,000 for replacement. That was about 3 months ago.
Most of that just sliders.
Yeah.
Well, you know, so there's 8 doors essentially.
Well, I'm sure those aren't standard openings from being built as long ago as it has been, so
Correct.
so they have to be kind of customized.
Right,
to
the
fit.
side pieces were customized, and that's why I feel the quote was slightly higher than average. The
Yeah,
physical
right.
door was a standard width, but that opening to get to the building was oddball width.
Yeah.
So if you take out the generator replacement, that'll have to be for next year then?
For the youth services generator?
Yes.
Yes, that's next year. The 150,000 is in there.
And that's,
Well, and remember, Kyle did reduce that one by 10,000, so those have already been reduced. The extension office remodel, youth services generator, and then the roof replacement had very small decreases in that total number.
Yeah.
Assuming they stay in the budget for next year. The generator, I believe, is very important.
Yes.
what do we do?
Well,
to
the
the
doors
extension
have to,
office?
the doors have to be more than, I mean, we have to have security for the building, but also ADA, accessibility. Those doors have to function, because if you have to have somebody opening the door, then we're using our security guys for a job that's not, they're not doormen or door women or people. But, so they're doing a job that those doors should be doing. So anyway, like I said, and it's not a standard, anything that you do that's custom, it's not cheap. But it has to meet certain standards for this building. So
Correct.
I just don't see us cutting any more off of that.
Yeah, so just to be very transparent with you, like Randy mentioned, the 3 projects that I have proposed reductions for, that was eliminating all the contingencies for the projects. So I had a little bit of buffer room in case some unforeseen circumstances happened during the project, but that's what was removed out of all 3 of those projects.
Well, I don't really think it's a discussion when it's routine maintenance that has to happen, and it's times came to do that. I mean, we don't have the option to do a vote for a bond issue like some entities do, and so we really need to do, that's the best way to do things, is routine maintenance and budget it year over year, so I'm okay with it.
And Commissioners, I
That's my
think all the
opinion.
capital items are needed. The one that you, I guess, might discuss is the large 2028 expenditures. That's building up money. But Kyle, can you kind of give a highlight, how important it is, but what we're building up for?
Sure. So in 2028, currently, there are 2 roofs that would be scheduled out. So that being the roof of the youth services facility and also the roof of the RCAP facility. The first quotes I've gathered, those 2 combined projects would be just over $1.6 million. So instead of coming to a budget year prep and asking for a enormously large sum of money, the philosophy that Randy and I both have is let's try to build up this when we know these big occurrences are going to happen to lessen the impact overall of the one singular year type purchases.
How much were they together? 1.6.
1.6.
That has worked really well to start building up to reserve so that you can spread that over the years.
Too many government entities don't do that.
That's true.
Our colleges didn't plan well on a yearly basis, so our legislators had to pass a special bill to get them caught up, 200 and some million. So, in my opinion, part of your annual budget should be planning on doing the maintenance that needs to be done, whether it's equipment or buildings. But
What are these?
to me,
asphalt
that's
roofs?
just the way you do it.
Are they membrane?
Membrane?
Yes.
So it's the hot tar membrane and,
Yes.
yeah.
Well, people probably look at it the wrong way, but insurance is there for a disaster, not to replace
Yeah.
your roof. You should budget and do
Maintenance.
that, yeah. Keep your insurance down,
Yeah, because insurance can always, elect not to replace it.
or go
Or
up.
depreciate it out.
Yeah.
So your insurance that you paid is meaningless when they say, well, it's wore out anyway.
What about the health department roof?
So the health department roof was aged out in 2023. So,
Well, have we decided, I guess another question, where we're gonna go with the health department, the remodel, all this stuff, is it worth our?
Well, I don't
But
think.
We haven't had that discussion. We need to probably have a study session to talk about, we were gonna renovate. The estimates came in way over what we have budget for. And it's an old building that's been 3 different buildings put together, or 3 different sections. We haven't had that discussion of what to do with that yet, just because of everything else, but that is something, if you remove it, I mean, if we're gonna keep the building,
Yeah.
it probably needs to stay in there. If we get a different building, we'd still have to have money to buy a building, so
But, I mean,
leave
for
it
the-
in.
For this point, I mean, this time, the roof on it, should we look at maybe that until we decide which direction we're gonna go with the building?
Well, that was, I think he's alluding to my question.
It would-
If we put it in here and we elect not to use it there, what happens to that money? Can it go forward to purchase a different building?
You would just have to
Or-
repurpose and have a vote to repurpose it. It would be in the CIP fund. You could put it in CIP reserve, and yes.
So
You-
it's not, it's good planning if we keep it, and if we don't keep the building, it's still utilized for that,
For something else.
for that group to, if we choose to replace, we can move that money there and
Yes.
use it there. So,
'Cause
so
that
it
money's-
still goes to that
The
department.
purpose of the health department.
Because that money's earmarked for the health department. We can't just take it.
Well, on this is out of the CIP
Well, I'm
fund.
not talking about the roof. I'm talking about. if
The other
we-
money?
Yeah.
Correct. There's health department capital outlay that has to be used for the health department, cannot be used for any other department. This is out of the CIP. So this is a separate fund that could be, but yeah, the health department has a little over $1 million for their capital outlay that's earmarked for the health department.
I just want you to know, because.
But that was part of the remodel money, but the remodel, I think estimates came in more like 2 million.
I wouldn't see why we couldn't take that out. I mean, it might come back to another year's budget, just like it is now, but I mean, for this year's budget, I don't see the point of us budgeting for it if we're in doubt of whether we're gonna do it or not. Basically, and to save it for what? To buy another building? I mean, that'll come up too, so, I mean, it's specifically to put the roof on the health department now.
Correct. Well,
Okay,
in
if we're not gonna
27,
do that, take it out.
Commissioner, what my recommendation would be, have it marked, but maybe we have a discussion about the building, because the commission will need to make a decision relatively soon, because we have a contract for the, engineering and construction management. So before September, if we had a meeting in August to talk about it, it still could be removed but maybe not today, just so we can have the discussion first, would be my recommendation.
I mean, that's fine, as long as we discuss it before it gets.
Yeah, well,
So, have you had to do a lot of maintenance on that roof?
it's had several leaks.
Yeah.
And
That's what.
it's always kind of a crapshoot to try to figure out exactly where those things are coming from. So throughout the last 18 months, there's been, I believe, 4 different occurrences of separate leaks.
Now, this is roof replacement, it's for the present health department,
That is correct.
not this new building over here that we're looking to renovate it. It's for the present
The
use
current
of
health
that
department.
West building.
Correct, but as Commissioner Bogner and what we were talking about is if it stays in the budget and a decision after the budget's adopted is to move the health department, that money could then be repurposed for a building or renovations in a new building and not the health department
Stays with the
roof,
health department.
because it's in the county's CIP fund, so it could be used for other or emergencies that came up.
either way, you're putting money away either for maintenance or a future building. so it doesn't hit the public all at once.
The other items here for at least facilities is scissor lift and water softener for RCAT. I think those have been discussed or are needed items.
What's the scissor lift for, just general?
Currently, we have a single person basket. So a electric scissor lift would allow 2 people in the basket and reach higher elevations more
How old's the
safely.
old one?
What's that?
How old is our old one?
We wouldn't be eliminated. We don't currently have a scissor lift.
You don't have one.
Correct.
What do you-
So when we have a scissor lift,
Commissioner, would you?
No, they have a lift that just holds one person.
This holds one person.
Yeah.
correct. So if the need is required for a scissor lift, we go out and rent one from a rental company, which requires a 3/4 ton or larger capacity truck, which is kind of where the agreement with Adam came in with the dually if we need to pursue that avenue.
So what kind of scissor lift are we looking at? I mean, it's not a high item deal. It's in a
No, so the 15,000 is kind of middle of the road Genie or JLG lift.
Yeah.
So nothing extravagant, nothing crazy, but just something that I feel would have a pretty immediate ROI. You know, when we have to rent a scissor lift for a week, it's about $800. So you break out your 15,000 by $800. You know, if you rent it 20 times, you paid for it.
And we'll keep the single man lift too.
Correct. Just a way to work at elevation safer.
And water softener, they're just water softeners. They wear out.
Yeah, and that one has been inoperable for about 2.5 years. So I will say that Candace, the director of RCAT, is looking for some grant funding to help with that cost of that replacement. So,
Commissioners, the fire district, that's a special district, so that one is not part of this mill levy. That's a separate mill levy. So that 500,000 is for, I would say, probably leave that off the table at this point for this discussion because we're talking about the county's general budget. That's not the county's budget. It's a special district budget. IT has the various technology improvement plans. And Tim, do you want to give a quick overview of what, I mean, not, you don't have to every single item, but just kind of the purpose of your 4 categories here?
Tim with Information Director of Information Technology. So there's a change this year in the budget planning or before we
Great. Thank you, Andrew. A change in this year's budget planning where before we just list everything. We're trying to categorize and break it a little bit better so that we're documenting what improvements we're going to make and we're documenting what operations are, what's needed to maintain operations. So these categories being the improvement plan and the operations plan, and then various funding breakdowns depending on what within the plan. So.
But most of this is, I mean, general operations or improvements. You didn't see anything in there that we really, unless we put it back into another department's budget, they're all necessary items.
Yeah, none of this is extra flair or anything special. Over the years, we've built up these requirements of one, operations being things we have to keep running, same software, supporting public safety. There's all sorts of different parts in there. The improvements are ensuring that we can maintain our infrastructure through routine upgrades or planned projects, things like that.
Do you have any questions on the technology? There's really, I mean, Tim, Sean, and I have gone over this numerous times looking at where can we possibly cut, but there's not unless we get rid of a lot of programs that departments may be dependent on or that we need for operations.
You know what the best thing that came out of this right here? To know that we're not the only ones that IT has to tell to hit the button.
Andrew keeps me going. So.
What a cover for the boss.
Well, I guess next up, Road and Bridge.
Road and Bridge, yeah. Thanks, Tim. Road and Bridge, on here is the equipment that we budget every year. This goes into, helps pay for all the equipment, the plans, the 10-year, whatever their plan is for equipment replacement. That's been in place for numerous years. Asphalt materials, $2.5 million. The bridge material, culverts, and transfer of funds. So, any questions? I mean,
What is the transfer of funds?
so that is so that out of the road and bridge fund, we have a budget amount that can be transferred to the special, and I'm trying to remember the names of their funds, but basically special highway and special equipment funds specifically for road and bridge. And that is to build up, again, that's kind of like when we talk about the CIP reserve, that's for road and bridges. So when we can build up, not knowing major road projects, materials, asphalt, overruns, the equipment, when loaders, different pieces of equipment that Logan's going to have to buy, the cost goes up every year. I mean, we don't get special discounts, so this is making sure that we have money there for when things need to be replaced, that we can afford it.
How much money have we got then?
I'd have to look.
We're adding 850,000 this year, right? We're adding 850,000 this year, which we do annually.
We haven't done that amount annually. Usually we had budgeted about the 550,000, and we built it up a little bit. But I can tell you, this year and last year when we were buying things, the paint striper for lane paint, that was pretty expensive. I know there's things that have been purchased that are far more than what we probably had planned, but we had the money in the reserve and in the operational budget. But the 850 is kind of more new to make sure that we continue to have enough.
And we have how much in it?
That's what I'm trying to, my mouse stopped working.
The cost,
Batteries died, I think.
the cost of repair and the cost of equipment has gone up so fast. That probably is an adjustment that needs to be made because there's just, I mean, the bills when you got to replace something are just, inflation's crazy there. So if we're not doing something to keep up with inflation there, we're probably just digging ourselves a hole.
Yeah, we need some. I'm just questioning how much do we got in there? How much should we put in, to add to it? I mean, if we need it, we need it. If we got quite a bit in that fund, we could look at maybe putting less in there.
I see your thought, but
Yeah.
I'm continually amazed that they can hold their budget or figure a budget as well as they do, because there's so many items in here that raise and lower depending on what's going on in the marketplace. It amazes me. I buy a lot of the same stuff, and it's crazy trying to budget.
There it was. Okay. Sorry, I'm looking for the fund that.
Together, a little interest on the reserve is a lot better than paying out for borrowing money.
We can't borrow money, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't think we could borrow money.
The Road and Bridge Special Machinery Fund has 1.5 million in it.
Especially
That's where we put the 550,000 in the past has gone in there, but it's 1.5 million.
Buys one piece of equipment.
has 1.5 in it.
And then the Special Highway Improvement Fund has 3.2 million.
So we got quite a bit of the funds that this transfer of funds could go to.
Yes.
Maybe
Well,
if you combine them two.
not on Special Highway Fund, but I would ask Logan if he may know more on what's needed in there.
I mean,
The special equipment, I'd say, like you said, it's 1.5 doesn't get you very many
Yeah.
pieces of equipment.
But this 850,000 goes to them two funds, or between them two funds, or
Yeah, it gives us the authority, whichever we need, based on what's used.
To go
Because
where?
we use the reserve funds, that's when we buy the equipment. So at the end of the year, we have the option to move it to either fund that needs to be replenished.
either them two.
Yes.
I think we could cut that 100,000 myself. I mean, we don't gather that much interest on it to sit there. I guess in the future time, if we need more, we could, come up with a budget again.
And Commissioner, that's up to you if you guys want to cut a small amount. I mean,
Yeah. And we'll cut the whole thing, but, we're trying to make cuts here, so.
What's a loader today, 750,000? That's half of that 1.5.
yeah, the special equipment, I mean, that that Logan has out there, that's 1.5 isn't a lot, but the other fund has a little bit more. I wouldn't cut it too much.
Yeah, and I'm not talking about, cutting it in half or anything, just.
But if you want to
Every little
remove
we can.
100,000, I
Yeah.
think that's,
I'd be okay with that.
Logan,
Logan?
what's your opinion? You're making the decisions out there and got to buy the equipment.
Logan Curry, Director of Public Works. The budget's pretty new to me, but I know the equipment is expensive. I think the more we save, the better we are. For instance, in 13 years, we got to buy a mill machine to start milling down the roads, and that's going to be a big price tag there. But just everything else, I mean, I wouldn't take too much from any of the budget, because the price is just going to keep going up on this stuff.
I mean, you think we can get by with a little less this year? I mean, I know Don gave a couple 100,000 last year, and then about the only one that gave anything. So we appreciate that, but, don't want to cut you out, but,
And we could look into it, but when I talked to Randy the other day, we really didn't discuss any kind of budget on my end, so it's kind of just new to me right now. But
Sure.
we could look into it. But I mean, if you want to try to move some, that we could probably make something work. But I wouldn't mess with it too much.
and Commissioners, that line item, transfer of funds, that gives gives budget authority. At the end of the year, there's a resolution you pass to authorize transfers. That gives the budget authority. So even if you reduced it, say it's 100,000 or whatever, you reduce it, doesn't mean that if things go well during the year and the cash balance is good in Road and Bridge Fund, that money still could be transferred. Just, it would be different line items that would cover the budget authority.
where would it
If
be
that-
transferred to?
Same thing. It would be the same place. That just makes sure that there is money at the year end to transfer.
One of them
But
two
if you don't,
places.
the special Road and Bridge Special Fund and Equipment Special
Right,
Fund for Road and Bridge. But for the budget purposes, even if that was zero, I wouldn't say cut much, zero, there still could be transfers at year end.
Sure.
Up to 20%, I think, of the budget. This increases budget authority, so if cash is in good shape toward the end of the year, more money could be transferred for those reserve funds. So if you cut it,
One of them two funds, it never comes back, right?
it can.
Yeah,
If you needed
right.
to, it could go back to the same place. But what I'm saying is if you cut that, and Logan has some large expenditures this year from those reserve funds. If cash is good at the end of the year, that $850,000 may still be available to transfer. It just won't show up in that line item as the budget authority. It still can be done. It just won't have the budget authority for that one, if that makes sense.
But I'm still looking at cutting a little bit off that. I wouldn't say beat it down, but I'd say a little bit. Yeah.
It won't hurt. It's not going to hurt the budget too much because it's not operational cost. It's transfer. And if things go well in 27 with cost and tax collections, that the cash still may allow that same transfer. So I don't think that would cost too much trouble to cut that one a little bit.
Thanks, Logan.
Thank you.
So what's a little
Come
bit?
back with an idea next time with how much you can cut, make it work and still get that milling machine and save money on asphalt.
I can meet with Logan and we can look at the equipment replacement plan and some different plans for that. It's tied to those equipment, or those reserve funds. Solid waste, this doesn't have any impact on the taxes. So I don't know if you have any questions for Megan, but you still could make changes. But as we talked about last week when she was here to buy a compactor, we budget 100% of what they have available. So her equipment replacement plan or vehicle replacement plan is based on numerous years out. So this is just allowing that. And then the cell and gas collection control systems, 580,
But we're
Megan
saying,
and the compactor she won't be buying that, but it's not going to change her budget. It's just that piece of equipment won't be bought next year.
Megan just knows you can't go raise our solid waste fee over that $96. That's her budget. How's that sound?
And then transit, aging, those are also needed items. I recommend not. Unless there's questions on the cap, that's kind of the capital. Anything you guys want to address with the capital or questions for any agency here?
Just a question. Where does the fees that we charge, that's charged for people to ride that, how does it affect the tax money that we put in? I mean,
It's part of the-
last time the Arquette cut their fees for riding.
And
So I just wondered how that affected.
The ridership went up, so the finances, the money being brought in hasn't really gone
Okay.
down.
Good
So
to know.
it's paying off. So they've done a good job of marketing, getting it out there. More people are riding, so I'd say
Sometimes you get questions on that,
Yeah.
and so that's why I ask.
Yeah. Any other anything you guys want to address with the capital budget?
So are we gonna do 100,000 off of that transfer fund?
It was mentioned that I meet with Logan, come back for another number, unless you guys want to just say a number, but
No, I think you need to.
I'd feel better
Okay.
with
Yeah.
some plan.
okay.
Rather than just
Because,
pull a number
and
out
I'll
there.
keep putting budget probably on the agenda, may not as much detail the next two meetings, just for discussions. Even though we won't have, as long as today's meeting for that.
Well, and this is, like I said, one of those things where if you're a person living in Reno County, you can see what we're dealing with here when it comes to budgets because it's available to see.
Yes.
Does anybody need a recess yet? It's about 11 o'clock, so.
Probably should.
All right, everybody okay?
It's a good breaking point. We're going to a different.
Let's take a short recess and come back. for a break. Okay, Randy, where are we headed?
Okay, we are now at discussion regarding personnel that's in the budget. This is, I wanted to point out and give you a chance to discuss. We have a pay increase of 5% that's in the budget with current employees. Inflation's probably 3% but as you know, costs have gone up. We've made different market adjustments over the years, trying to keep up. Sometimes when we usually increase the pay scale half the amount that the COLA is. And so over the years, since we did a pay study in 2021, I believe, we may increase the pay scale 1%, and it doesn't go up very much, especially for the people toward the lower end of the pay scale. So when we hire basically the 5% is so we can move the pay scale up and try to keep up with the market for local government. I've heard there's other city, county governments in the area that may be doing more pay studies. We're behind them probably already, but I think we'll be further behind. So we put 5% in here. As a reminder, it's about, I have it written down, I think $240,000 per 1% is the cost.
I have one question before we get into this, and that's regarding our pay scale.
Mm-hmm.
Once you hit the 100% level, the maximum, then what is the raise after that? It's not the full 3.5% or 5%. Is it 1% or 1.5%, or what is the?
I'll let Helen explain that.
Helen?
So when an employee tops out on the pay scale, at that point, they do not move any further. Other than when we move a pay scale, the front of the pay scale changes as well as the back. So the back is going to move. So if we, let's say we have a 5% increase, but we only move the pay scales 2.5%. Those that are topped out will only receive the 2.5% up to the max of what that pay scale is now, where their grade is. That's how it works.
So this max, okay, take for instance, your pay scale is, my pay scale's minimal, but yeah, I'm at $11,000 and I'm maxed out. That's all I get, right?
Because you guys are a little different. So
okay.
If we take an elected out of the equation, so like for an appointed or our regular employees, they're put in a pay band. That pay band has a minimum and a maximum. When you reach the maximum, you have topped out of the scale and there is no increase. So when we do a COLA increase on the pay scale, it moves those pay scales. So again, they would move to the max. But that max, if we move the pay scale only 2.5%, and we were giving employees a 5% increase, they will only see a 2.5% increase because they can't go over the top.
Over the top. So let's just take this. Someone makes $100,000 a year, and someone makes $50,000. Okay, so what is the? Is there a difference in the percentage rate of what they receive for cost of living?
So let's say that the 100,000 employee is at the top of the pay scale, but the 50,000 is not. That 100,000 employee is just going to see wherever the new top moves to. The $50,000 employee is going to see 5% of their pay for an increase.
So if the 100,000 is at the top of his pay scale, their pay scale, pardon me, then they basically receive
2.5%.
2.5%. And if the 50,000 is at the top of their pay scale, they get the 2.5% too.
2.5%.
Okay, that's a little clearer. Now, do they? Does their pay scale change as they each year, or
That's what when we're talking about the 2.5% for COLA for pay scale maintenance, that's what it's that's what we're talking about, is we're actually moving pay scales 2.5%. So it goes off of that median price. It increases that median in that pay scale by 2.5%, and then the spread stays the same. So the spread across that pay scale is the same.
So the 100,000 get, what, 2,500, right?
You're probably better at
I
math.
no, I'm
off
not.
the cuff. I have Oklahoma math, and it doesn't math
and,
well.
and then that raises their pay scale from 100,000 to 100,000 to, you know, blah blah blah. So that automatically raises their pay scale for next year, or for next pay raise, or you know they'll still be at the 2.5% or whatever it is.
2.5% is still going to have them at the top. Yes.
Top, but they eventually get more at the top. Okay, I think I'm understanding.
So they're only seeing movement as to what we move the pay scales.
Okay, so
Once you reach the top, that's all you're seeing is COLA increase. The COLA increase only impacts how far the max goes up. So whatever we decide for pay scale maintenance, that's what they're seeing for their increase.
and is that the cost of living?
Cost of living allowance, yeah.
Right.
When we do the cost of living allowance, we move the pay scale.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So commissioners, I guess, any changes you want on, I mean, my recommendation is to keep it at 5%, but again, it's about 240,000, give or take, per 1%.
So we're taking 5 times 240, $1,000,002.
Yeah.
But you can't hire good people if you're not competitive.
It's hiring good people, but it's also keeping the ones that have been here
Already
to
trained and-
continue
Yeah.
to, you know, to stay. Yeah.
Because if they are at the top of their scale, at least it gives them a raise, not a 5%, but we give them something.
Well, that all depends whether the scale is competitive too. I guess is what we're saying. Yeah.
Right, and that's
Yeah.
why we made a few changes a couple months ago. You guys made a little bit of changes to the pay scales because we noticed that some were not competitive, and they're still probably at the lower end, but it's a little bit better. So,
You started a correction.
yeah. Okay. Next item is discussion regarding partner agencies. And I'm trying to remember, I know we have at least one partner agency. I'm just trying to think, because we also have a lot of directors. Didn't know if you also wanted to talk about any specific departments while directors are here, but I know the partner agencies may take a while. But I will go, so here are the partner agencies. The requested amount. As a reminder, Conservation District, there's kind of a mandate in a way for that. Horizons Mental Health, Tech, Extension, and 4-H all have statutes, or there's requirements to give them some level of funding. There's not a minimum or a maximum. Well, I guess, yeah, maximum.
Maximum.
Greater Hutch and Startup Hutch are two for economic development related items that have agreements with the partner agencies. And the museum is a resolution that has a up to amount for the budget. And as I kind of going back to kind of that dollar bill graphic, just as a reminder, a lot of these are down here. They're not going to move the needle on the mill levy much. Even if you wiped them completely out, they're not going to change the mill levy too much, unless you wiped out Tech and Tech and Horizons. But those are, again, mandated items. I just wanted to put that in relation that these are small numbers, but I know that's something you guys want to talk about for the partner agencies, of what funding to possibly give them in 27. Conservation District would be going back to what has been previously given to them. Horizons and Tech are flat numbers. The 4-H fair is going back to an amount that they previously had received. Extension Office is asking for 10.5% increase. And Museum is
What's that increase for?
Extension. That's, I think, they're fully staffed, I believe, and some of their cost. Museum, they are going up 28%, and that's because they have 1.5 staff members, I believe, and to be able to start doing some more of the fundraising, and that 1.5 staff's just enough to keep the doors open and operations. That 200,000 again is maybe to give them possibly the ability. I can't speak for them, but to maybe start fundraising more. I'm not sure. That's just in some discussions I've had with them. And then they have capital items that are coming up with their building at some point. Startup Hutch, that's an agreement that's been in place for numerous years. That's an increase of 33%. I know.
How did we arrive at that?
So Graham had mentioned, I think it's just spreading the money out, but I know he's doing a lot more work in the smaller communities of Reno County and trying to get out there more than they have in the past. And so the cost has gone up. I believe they asked the city of Hutch for 90,000, if I remember. So it's a little bit less than the counties. That's just from, I don't know if I'm correct on that number, but that's a number I think is there.
How about we just start down with Conservation District first and get an idea and go each one of them down?
All right.
How's that sound?
Yeah.
Sounds good. Well, I'll start it off. Personally, with the Conservation District, I would go with the request. I know they're always short of funds. Sometimes to do the kind of work they're doing, you're on a list for a year and a half, 2 years. And this is local contractors do most of this work. And it's funds get matched from other agencies. It's a way to get tax dollars that have left Reno County back into Reno County and being spent in this county. This is our portion. Some of those are matching funds from the state that will match what we do. Some of them are government, federal funds.
And producers match money too.
Yeah, producers
money.
themselves is usually, it's a 50-50 split. Sometimes there's a little different split. So you've got individuals who are applying for these projects, putting up half the money, at least. So, like I said, it's a way to bring a lot of dollars that have left Reno County back into Reno County. And the dirt contractors and stuff they use are all local companies that I know of. I haven't seen anybody coming from somewhere else to work here. So, creates jobs and does the conservation type work, soil erosion control, dams and ponds and things like that provide, keep our major lake from silting in. We're at 7% after 50 years on a 100-year lake. It should just darn near be to a point where it's useless. But these programs have extended the life of that lake. So for me, I'd say leave them alone.
Well, I'm kind of on the outside agencies. I think our first obligation is to county needs to fund outside agencies. I would be personally would like, that'd be the first thing I'd cut. The only ones that I would say I wouldn't cut would be the museum, because that was voted on, that was passed, and it was agreed upon by the public to fund them up to so much. So I guess my thought is that if we take care of the county needs, if we have money, fine. I mean, give it to them. But if we're short on our budget each year, we need to find some place that to get some of that money back.
I think the money that the conservation districts bring in, as well as the partnerships with producers putting money in on it together, I think Don pretty well covered it.
Yeah. That conservation fund, they're not asking for a gigantic increase, but the work they do is very vital to this county, like Don was saying. So I think that what they're asking for is reasonable.
So commissioners, I guess my question for the conservation, is there consensus to keep it at 50,000, or Commissioner Vincent, you mentioned cuts, or do you want to make a difference?
Leave it, I'm really saying leave it where it was last year.
Okay, so
I'm okay with what they want. I think we learned a valuable lesson 3 years ago on that.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I'm
A
going to
couple
write
of them
down
weren't
that.
here, but we about heard them, and so I don't think we want to do that.
Yeah, they were cut, and yeah, the maximum was set, and we had to fund money in the general fund to switch that. But okay, so conservation will be left at 50,000 for the budget at this point. Next one is Greater Hutch, economic development. I will point out that I had talked with Deborah before she had made that request, and she had asked about a number, and I said to ask for what is really needed, as the county has over the past couple of years given them more work to do, that they're working on behalf of the county with some of our incentives. So I just kind of wanted to point that out, that there is a reason for that increase. And
And maybe Katie can answer this, confirm it anyway, that they're asking here with economic development, that money goes to operationals.
Yes, it does go to operations. And we're a new, our operations are now a 3-person team. So there's 3 of us doing work on behalf of the county in the business retention expansion and business recruitment efforts, along with the additional programming of talent attraction with the Make My Move. We're down to our final mover and those different pieces that we've had some requests from the county to being creative in how to address some of those different policies and programs.
Should this maybe be funded out of our economic development money? I mean, it is economic development.
The way I understand it.
so we have economic development incentive money that we have, and then this is the operational. I mean, they're both out of the general fund,
He answered it.
but I mean, yeah, I guess you could reduce the other a little bit to give them operational money.
That's kind of my plan. But 50,000 is a pretty big increase. I would like, personally, I'd like to see that cut in half. Give the 75,000 instead of 100.
I would have a tendency to look at the incentives and take a look at the incentive portion, the 400,000, and that's not in here on the agencies. That's part of the
No, because it's part of the general fund. It
part of
doesn't
the
go
general
to.
fund. But
It's not given to them.
I would take a look at maybe cutting 25 to 50,000 out of that incentive fund, not to hurt it, but depending upon what the administration has allotted for housing incentives. But that might be a place that we could cut a little bit out of.
Economic development, should we actually be keeping some of these incentives we've got that they are managing in place? Take away some of the money and take away some of the workload. Some of these economic development deals that have been presented lately haven't been working out. And maybe this isn't the place to talk about it. But we're talking about budget and where money goes. If we didn't fund certain things that they're managing.
And commissioners, that's just like one part of it. Obviously, the Greater Hutch represents the county, countywide for economic development. We don't have an in-house person for economic development. And so this is kind of the cost of being part of that. I believe I'm not sure, the city of Hutch, I think is 200,000.
Yes.
And
200,000 was the request to the city of Hutchinson, which does accommodate for the distribution of the population in regards to how we service the 60,000, 40,000 is city of Hutch, the other 20,000 are the county.
And city of South Hutch, I think, gives 10,000.
15,000 is the request from the city of
Okay.
South Hutch, and that's level. Everything has been level with the city of South Hutchinson. We did go level with the city of Hutchinson, but we did go up here because we've held at 50,000 for the last 2 cycles, and so we did do this with the increase in manpower and the increase in services.
And, Commissioner Vincent and Commissioner Hurst, when you mentioned the incentive line item, technically, yeah, we could reduce that and switch the money and give them more on operations and just reduce the incentive money. We have reserve, we move it to reserves, what we don't use. It's not the end of the world, but that would be a possibility.
Reducing it all.
Well, I think if we want this county in the areas to grow, you have to have people like we have that are able to talk to people and businesses that are thinking about coming here and actually, know what we have to offer in this county. And it's not, you can't do that. I mean, we can't ask them to volunteer their time. We just had a thing where we were hammered for we were talking about one thing, and I'm trying to get the county to grow and trying to bring in some business here. And if we take away that tool, then we can't expect them to come in and say, well, we had this business move here, or, because they're, we want to have the welcome mat out saying that we want to have that business or that opportunity to, we're talking about raising, the COLA for the employees in the county, and that's great, but we have to have more people paying into the county and property taxes or other sales taxes and things like that. So it takes more people as a whole to create that. And if we don't, we're just shooting ourselves in the foot.
I'm coming with Mr. Bordner. I mean, we haven't found anything that works. I mean, I would like to support this economic development stuff like this, but right now it's stagnant. It's been stagnant. I mean, we need to find. We're not finding anything that seems to be progressing at any sort of speed at all.
Well, and Commissioner, some of the incentives I know that we've worked with the chamber that they're helping administer is related to housing, and part of it's tied to the speed of building houses.
Our funds with, excuse me, Deborah, but our funds with economic development and the operational portion of it, which this is dedicated to the operations, has had a lot to do with bringing in 2 big projects. And that one is the Effigy plant. The other one is Salt Lick. And, if Salt Lick goes, that's really going to be an enhancer to the county. And so that's where I look at operational as this. Now, can we cut maybe 100,000 a little bit? Maybe. But I think Deborah made a comment in the Hutch Tribune, a reporter, regarding how they decided on how they looked at the amount of money that was needed for that with Hutchinson population and the work done primarily with the infrastructure that Hutch offers versus the county. And so I thought that was a good explanation.
If you don't mind, could I address the commission?
Yeah, you may go right ahead. I'll quit.
Well, first of all, I know you guys have a lot of decisions ahead of you, and this looks like a big decision with a big increase, but in reality, I want to give some perspective to the reason that we are asking for this increase. If you go back a few years, we did take a pretty significant cut after the 2023 operating year, and we have not had an increase since. So in some regards, this is playing catch up, because the only way that I staff an organization that does the work of economic development, it's a people organization. And the way we do that and the way we provide them an adequate pay and decent benefits that also have increases every year is to pull from our reserves, to the point that we have zero reserves to pull from. We can't rob Peter to pay Paul to make this equation work. And Mr. Partington pointed out that he did encourage us to ask for what is needed. We realize that you're going to probably make some cuts to it. We actually did cut from 26 budget to the 27 budget by about $60,000 out of our own budget. It is skinnied down as far as it can possibly go. But only one small part of what we do is managing the incentive programs that the county has allocated for us to take on as experiments. A large part of what we do is helping this county attract new investment. And to Mr. Vincent's point about, do these projects pay off? I'm going to give you one example. In our budget request earlier this year, we gave you an economic impact report of the impact of the projects that we have landed over the last 6 years that have created 829 direct jobs, 1,400 total jobs. The investment, that every dollar invested in this economic development program returns $2,000 of economic impact to Reno County. And the largest of those is the Evergy project. I guarantee you, it was the work of Greater Hutch that brought Evergy's investment to Reno County. I'm going to own that all of the work that we did to, one, attract them to even look at Reno County, to secure a site for them to locate on in Reno County, was 100% because of the work of the Greater Hutch team. That project is investing $1 billion here. It will eventually go on the tax rolls, but it is also an important thing to note. You just looked at the road project that you guys are bonding for $5 million. But the lion's share of what's paying for that road is the Evergy project. In that summary you had, they're paying $19 million of a payment in lieu of tax to Reno County, putting dollars in the coffers to pay for the road plus some. And it is projects like that that return an investment. You wouldn't be sitting here wrestling over a mill levy increase if we continue to land projects like Evergy that return that kind of an investment to your coffers. That's the work that Greater Hutch does. Yes, some of the work, we do a housing program, we do a relocation incentive, we do the Make My Move program. All of those are small programs to try to help bring people to live here. But the thing that moves the needle on the bottom line for Reno County is bringing investment here. And that Evergy project wouldn't be coming without this team. I can't staff this team without adequate funding to do it. Our total budget next year is $769,000. Part of that is people and part of that is programs. And we absolutely asked what we needed for, because besides the funding that we are receiving from the city, we go out and raise another $400,000 from private sector businesses who believe in this work. And the rest of it's coming from the chamber reserves, which is a separate fund, but it's the only way I can make the budget work. So I realize you have a tough decision ahead of you, but I'm going to own that you wouldn't be getting those payment in lieu of tax dollars of $19 million without the $50,000 that you put into Greater Hutch, and the $100,000 is absolutely needed. So thank you for letting me just make that point. I also want to make the point that we did assess neighboring counties just to make sure we're in line with what neighboring counties are doing. Harvey County puts $120,000 into their economic development program. It's over $3 per capita that they invest. McPherson County puts $50,000 in, but that's actually $1.66 per capita. And currently we're only getting 81 cents per capita in economic development funding in Reno County. And if you were to increase it to $100,000, that would be $1.62 per capita, which is still less than McPherson and Harvey County, our neighbors. So that's some perspective. Thank you.
we have to be out there in order to be known. And I think that the chamber has widened their basis with the present employees and administration that they have. It's been widened out to the county a lot more than it's ever been. So I'm okay with the 100,000 myself, as long as we look at the maybe taking a little bit off of our. We've got some pretty good reserve in the incentive program now, and maybe we won't have to fund it to the total of 400,000. Maybe we can take 25,000 of that off and use it for the economic development portion. That's just a thought. Just a toss-out thought.
If you guys were gonna, my recommendation, if you guys were gonna cut, and that was the option, I would move from the economic development incentive line item and move it to the operational cost.
How much of that 400,000 you think will be encumbered this year, coming year? I know it's dependent upon how.
Last year, I think we encumbered almost all of it, or the year before. I mean, it depends on what programs and what we're doing, incentives. But this year, I don't think we'll spend the full, or encumber the full 400,000 this year. But again, we have a little over $1 million, 1.2 maybe million in there in the reserve. Some of that's also encumbered for various projects that we're waiting on.
But a lot of those resolutions creating these development programs are contingent on the funds being there. If the funds aren't there, they're just not going. I mean, when you run out of funds, you run out of funds.
And we were going to redo that incentive program too.
Right. When we have the
It'll come up later this fall.
Yeah, I want to work on that. I will say that the reserve fund will, again, probably make changes on the incentives for the job performance. But if Greater Hutch lands a big employment project, our money would be gone pretty quick.
Well, that's what I'm getting at.
So
a few things that have been discussed.
So even if it's over $1 million, doesn't mean it couldn't be gone in a year easily if the right project shows up. And I know they're working hard on various projects other than just expansion, new builds. So it could be. I think we need more in that reserve, but for the budget, I think we could probably move 25 or whatever amount, depending on how much you want to give Greater Hutch. We could move the difference from the other line item.
Like Mr. Bordner, I mean, if we're out of money, we're out of money, we can propose for next year to put more or whatnot in it. It don't have to just sit there. The building part of it is going pretty slow. I mean, it's not taking off, and so just to sit there for that. If we do land a big project, I think we can, we can regroup and try to fund it at that point. To fund it just for the point that it might come up is
see something big come up, then next year.
Look at it there.
But to remind you, kind of as Deborah mentioned, there have been big projects that just aren't on the tax rolls yet, but they're with Salt Lick and Evergy. Those are big projects that have identified Reno County.
And a big project doesn't happen in 2 days or a year. Most of them take multiple years to get built. And
permitting, building, everything takes a long time.
Nothing in government moves at the speed of light.
So, Commissioners, what do you want to do with this so we can move to the next one?
Yeah.
Like I already said what I said.
Well,
I'd move on past it. Myself personally, I'd rather work on taking And I was gonna say that, so I appreciate you bringing that up, you guys, out of that other fund. I've made that statement all along since I've been in office. If it don't work, you pull it, you do something else, so. obviously
So you're
worked along.
saying what, leave this and pull
I'd
it
say
out of
leave
the
this
other
alone,
fund?
take it out of the other fund.
Well, as long as we're cutting somewhere.
Yep.
All
That
right.
work?
Yeah,
Consensus, okay?
Yeah.
Ron?
I'm outvoted, so go ahead.
Well, to take it out of the other.
Look, I mean, we're lowering it. We're just letting this fund, we're pulling it off the other side of it.
Well, whether you was for it or not, it doesn't matter on board at this point. We asked for them to take up the slack and get out into the county, and they can't do that for free, so.
Well,
I believe we need to fund this, the other part I do not.
Well, and I have kids that go to Pretty Prairie grade school, and if you've been to Pretty Prairie, you can see some upgrades and things that have been going on in that little community, because I've gone out there before thinking, man, they need this or they need that, and now they have those things. So, and it might not be gigantic to us, but to that community it means a lot. So, and they're in Reno County, so they're benefiting from their hard work is making other communities, not just Pretty Prairie, but other communities grow. And that's what we're asking for them to do.
Okay, the next one is Horizons.
Yeah. You know, that's one thing I liked today was the fact that we got an idea of what the balance sheet looks like in Greater Hutch Economic Development, and we don't see that very often in these other agencies on what their reserve are. You know?
I think when they sent in their request, they give kind of the cash balance. Horizons is very healthy. They have, they're not hurting for money. But it is mandated you give them money. How much? $1? No, I mean, I say that flippantly, but
I know, it
mean,
doesn't
there's-
mandate how
there is
much.
no-
I know that. That's why I was.
That's a big help, I mean, mandated, but don't tell us how much.
Is there another one we could take a certain percentage off, say 6% or 25,000 off? Is that something that we could?
Well, what I'm asking here is,
As a
if we don't work with this partner agency here, we've got to provide those services by law, right?
Yeah, you have to provide money
Mental
for
health.
mental health services. Sedgwick County, as an example, has ComCare. That's where they provide it, but that's at the county department, so they provide it. Most counties have agreements with like a Horizons that provides it, so it's not part of the county, but all counties have to give money for mental health, the Community Mental Health Association.
So if we don't partner, we've got to create a similar agency and hire the people. And so this may be, it's a big number.
And
but
half of this, sorry to interrupt, Commissioner, but half of this, it also covers what they're spending in the jail. So they used to, before this, bill us for some services at the jail. So I would say at least half of this is direct services to Reno County, not to the organization, but for the organization. So it's just as to be cautious of cuts. There is some that comes directly back to for the organization.
Well, and then my other thought is that, if we got to try to replicate this to meet the law,
it'd be a lot more.
It'd be a lot more money.
Yeah.
And it's a big item, but what we're mandated by law is going to cost us a whole lot more if we don't. Besides the jail deal, it's going to cost us a lot more to replicate this, and this seems to be an efficient way to get what we're mandated to do.
Well, I'd say this about this. I mean, you go back and look, and we dropped it, and they've never asked for an increase since then, and they continue to increase programs. and that street program is working well for them. If one family in here says they're not affected by mental health, they're lying. And it's just everybody is in some way or another. And it may be you tomorrow that needs the services. You never know. So, I mean, they do a good job.
And they are providing a person out at the jail.
Yeah.
They're very effective. I mean, an important service for the county. So is there a consensus to leave that one alone? So, okay. The next one is 4-H fair. Again, that's mandated by a statute. They used to get 20,000. Last year you cut them to 18.5. I believe rent has gone up at the state fairground, so.
Usually it's rent.
So,
Well,
that's only a $1,500 increase.
Well,
it's not-
that's the report
Yeah.
that it's for increase in rent.
It's not much, but again, back to the 4-H, I know some of you guys really support it, but it's like any other extracurricular activity that your children or somebody participate in. If you go to band, you buy the horn. I mean, I don't feel like it's really our obligation to fund extra activity.
Other than the statute that you do provide money.
Okay, provide the dollar. I mean, I guess, if that's the way we want to look at it, I wouldn't say, I'm for leaving it the way it was. But, because I don't my kids band, my kids played summer ball. I mean, it wasn't, I didn't come to the county and ask for the uniforms or the horn. So, that's my point on
But
that.
the other side of that is the rec commission funds the people that are helping make that happen. And it's coming from somebody's tax dollars.
Yeah.
Well, I'd personally be okay with the 20.
I'm okay with the 20 because it's a great place to have recognition and show these kids what they've done.
On,
The adults.
I'm okay with the 20 just because he's right. Ron is down there, but there are some families that are low income, and if they didn't have a little bit of fundraising or give from other entities, these kids wouldn't get to participate. And sometimes that's the only, thing that they get to do that is a meaningful thing in their lives. So I'm good with the 20.
Well, you have consensus. I didn't even have to say anything.
Okay. Extension office.
But I'll go along with it.
All right. 420,000 is their request.
Here's an example of the state cutting back their funds to the extension office and then leaving it up to locals to make up the difference.
And telling us we're asking.
Telling us we charge too much for taxes.
Yes. Mandate, walk away. You guys figure out where you're going to get the money.
Well, that's another, I hate to see that big of a raise. It was explained to us what it was needed for. I personally don't use the extension office too often. Sometimes I call and ask how come my lawn's dying, or and usually get an answer. But
They tell you to water it.
or quit watering it, or
Actually, this week they're telling them to quit watering it because the fungus is what's turned it yellow, not the lack of water.
So I see some need for it, but again, I'm lost on how big a need on how big a need we need to fund it. I mean, that means we're an agriculture community. It's probably helpful to the producers and other people, more than it is to people like me. But I just don't understand it enough to see it or to get rid of it. But I don't understand enough to justify the increase.
I'll tell you something I ran into 2 years ago. It didn't have anything to do with the budget, but it was when I was at Tech years ago, and there was a dresser that was a military dresser that had been passed down, brought from California, I found out, we traced. And it was brought here, and they kept having like sawdust in the drawers, and they asked if we could look at it. Well, if you put your ear down to it, you could hear chewing. So we loaded that thing up because they wanted it at the Extension Council and took it over there, and it was flying termites that come from California. And they said, if you get them in your house, it's not like treating termites. You fumigate the whole house for 2 weeks and you move out. So they wanted to study that. And this is one of those things that it could have started something here if it wasn't careful. And they knew what it was. And so I was always impressed by that. I know they do so many other things too, but I just, I don't think you realize the services they can provide too. So
Now, is this one of those mandated deals?
Yes.
yeah, we have.
That's what I
Every
thought.
county
Well,
gives
what
money
is
in
it?
some.
That amount of increase, I don't remember what they were saying they were needing it for.
I think that if I remember, it's full. They're fully staffed and maybe some additional programs.
They hadn't been fully staffed for several years.
That
If
is
we don't
right.
staff it, it moves, we share with other counties, correct?
No.
And do they sit on reserves?
They talked about possibly regional,
Yeah.
creating a regional district at some point, but that.
Do they sit on reserves? Or I understood last time we visited with her that they were pretty close every year.
I don't think they have much, if I remember.
I don't think they do either.
I think they may be almost like a negative if you look at a budget, if I remember.
That's what I recall.
So,
Here again, the 4-H programs in the extension office, as well as what Randy was talking about.
well, and they're also, they do a lot of horticulture stuff with, trees and various things within the cities. Everybody assumes that it's all farm related, and I'd say they probably do as much otherwise as they do on farms anymore. It's just, I don't know that they're saying they need 420 because they're fully staffed, if I remember right.
That's what I remember.
If I remember, that would go regional, right?
They talked about, that would take over a year to put in place, but then what that would do is then they would partner with another county or two, and then they would create their own board and have their own mill levy. They would have complete control over a mill levy that they do.
But the danger in that, as I recall, would be you don't have control necessarily over.
It creates
some
another.
things and over the budget too.
Yeah, just creates another taxing entity for Reno County
I think
taxpayers.
they said it'd raise quite a bit.
Yeah.
Although even we would have representation on it.
But yeah, like you said, they said it raised the overall taxes worse than what's going on here.
I'm all right with it.
Yeah, I guess.
Me too. Their building is not the Taj Mahal either. It's not like, if you go to K-State, they have some beautiful buildings there. And so it's a nice building, but it's not over exuberant. It doesn't have.
And that's our building.
I know, but
So,
I'm
okay.
just saying, it doesn't have bells and whistles
No.
everywhere.
Kyle's working on that.
Yeah, right. They're making do with what we give them.
Yes.
Literally. Send me an email when you get the bells and whistles and I'll stop by and look at it.
The next item is the museum, next agency. Again, they have a $40,000 increase in the request.
For years, the museum has talked about doing things, raising funds, upgrading, doing things a little different. They had one meal last year, as far as I know, that was used for fundraising. And I'd like to see an action plan, quite frankly, with the museum to see where they're going and what they plan on doing. I haven't seen that come to any kind of fruition yet. The board talks good, but I haven't seen it. And I'm not embracing the board, but they have not followed through, in my estimation, with.
I'd like to see a plan of action.
I'm just a little unhappy with the fact that they haven't followed through with any kind of action plan or any kind of notification of what they're going to do for the public to get involved. So I'm not too enthused with that huge raise. I think that they've got some good people in there now. I saw a couple good articles in the Hutch Tribune with what some of the history people have done to make Hutchinson what it is, Reno County. But I'd like to see a definite plan and a time on it.
Well, I'd like to see that too, but on the other hand, I mean, this was voted on, and I know it's a long time ago, but I mean, you know, until it's voted to change, it's just like any other. It's like the Constitution. Do we throw it out because it's old? No. You know, and they haven't asked for their full amount. It's a bad building. I mean, they've did without a lot. And so the main factor that I'm at is why to give them money is because it was put to a vote to the people, and that's what the people wanted. So, you know, to me, there's that's something that I don't feel comfortable changing.
Well, Ron, I'll second that. We had a very emotional presentation. We've talked in the past about doing more of their own fundraising. Her increase, if I remember correctly, in her presentation was that this was for an extra person, for somebody to create and do the kind of things we've asked them to do. And like you said, they've never been funded at the full level, but that's our job to decide. That's the upper level. It's our job to decide where that should fall. And I'm inclined to leave it as asked, give her a chance to get her extra person in there and create these programs we've asked for. If there isn't some progress made, maybe we need to fall back. But I'm kind of a history buff and I like that stuff. But most of this younger generation doesn't care about history. Your grandma's china won't bring anything. It used to be worth a lot because people wanted the history. Our new generation doesn't care about that history. So she's fighting an uphill battle over there. I'm okay with, as Ron said, never been funded to the full appropriation it could be, voted by the people. I'm willing, this is what she asked for and thought she could turn this thing around somewhat. Give her an opportunity. And if it doesn't work out, then you take the next step.
I guess I would go for what they're asking for, like I said, but I'd like to see a plan of attack to see what their plans are. But I would go for it.
There's your consensus.
Yeah.
I'll
Leave it there for now, but let them know. Obviously, you still can change before the end of the budget, but let them know that they need to have an action plan that provided to you guys so you see that they're actually going to do something with this additional $44,000. I think that's the amount.
And I think probably a connection with the Reno County Historical Society, if they can be fully involved with them, might make a difference. I don't know that much about it, so I shouldn't probably talk about it. But there's been a lot of comments written about the Reno County Historical Society.
Okay.
So
That's who oversees the museum. That's the board. They also oversee Stratica. So, yeah. The next is Startup Hutch. They asked for an additional $25,000, so they're at $100,000.
Get on that one. I would like to see it stay where it was.
Microphone.
I'd like to see it stay where it is without the increase. I just don't see why we. It seems to me to be be more of a Hutch deal than a Reno County, for one, but, and two, I mean, 25, that's not bad, but that's 33% increase, so, my consensus is to leave it at the 75.
I think they're getting a lot more. They've been out to several smaller towns around than they ever were in the last several years. And, but I also think that they probably could do a little more of their own marketing themselves rather than hire a marketing company, be a little more efficient with their funds. And they do have a reserve. I think they ought to get an increase, but I'm more inclined to look at a $90,000 than I am $100,000. I think they can do some things. They've got a little reserve. You don't want to use reserve up, but I think they're certainly, with what Graham got in there, they're certainly giving a lot more for the whole county, and I'm enthused with that.
And you already explained how you come up with this split
On our funding?
on Startup Hutch?
That's a
We're
different.
separate organizations.
Hutch is giving 90,000, right?
For their request.
Startup Hutch, I believe, asked 90,000 from the
That's
city.
90,000.
Yeah.
I will confirm that.
And
Go back to the newspaper, right?
yeah. They've been known to be fairly accurate. So they're asking us to fund it more than the city,
Yes.
and the city actually,
The city has given more the past couple years, but if you go back further than that, the county has gave more for a number of years. So it's kind of been back and forth. I'd say over time, the county may have given a little bit more, but it's been,
Wasn't their
somewhat
5-year
equal.
plan for 90,000?
yeah, I believe so.
And this is a 6th year.
Yeah, they started a new 5-year plan, yes.
Yeah.
and they're not, that's a completely separate agency, not a part of.
Correct. They're not part of the chamber. They're about entrepreneurial work, promoting that for local people.
And they have, I don't know the exact number, but it used to be around $400,000 to loan out as a matching fund to get financing either through Network Kansas or for SCED or for the local banks.
Yeah.
Now I'm on the right track of who we're, what we're. Ron, I think I'd agree with you. We'll back that off to 90,000. I don't know what the other guys think.
Yeah, I would do 90. That's what I was thinking.
All right. Sounds like a consensus.
Everybody's got to.
I know when
a
I'm,
little bit.
I don't even have to talk today.
when I've had people call me and directed of that, Graham has been really, Startup Dutch has been really good about getting back with them.
And I know Graham's
Providing a
been out
service.
in the other cities a lot
Yeah.
more, so he's doing great work expanding what they do. So, the next one is tech, 400,000.
The basically stays the same, right?
Yeah, the same, and that is another mandated, and I don't remember if their cash balance, maybe it's okay, but it's not as healthy as some of them, but it's in good shape, I think.
That's what I appreciate. The first year I was on, we were going to revenue neutral. Well, you can just look at the numbers here, a little over 25%. They turned around and did a lot of fundraising but the thing of it is they've never asked for any more, even though we all know what inflation's doing. And since they're holding the line, there's no way in my mind that because we'd have to duplicate what they do by law if they weren't a partner with us, and it'd be far, far more expensive for us to go that way, less efficient. I think we're getting a good deal. I mean, it's a big number, but for what we're getting and what we're mandated, it's a good deal.
That's another one where the services they provide are priceless. If you have a child that needs that services or an adult that needs those services, they supply those services, but then they're trying to make a person that before might have been not considered a viable part of the community, a viable part of the community. The jobs and things that they supply after they go through these tech programs and how tech helps them, again, is if you have a need, it's priceless.
They do give them jobs.
Yep.
So is there consensus to keep it, okay, at 400? All right, that's the partner agency, so.
What'd we take off in totality?
10.
That's what I thought, it was just 10,000.
And I will comment, I mean, Commissioner Bogner, you mentioned kind of the R&R back in 23, but even before you guys made the $10,000 cut, the request is still less than what everyone was receiving in 23 and previous, so.
Yeah.
It's an increase from
Yeah.
current year, but it's still less than what it was a couple years ago in total.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We've gone through, now it's to departments and how much you guys want to talk about. Do you want to get into all line items of every department? Are there specific departments you want to talk about? This is the revenue side, but we'll get to the expenditures. The general funds listed, kind of shown here of the various departments. Most of the budget is capital and personnel. Contractuals, commodities. I can say that every department has looked at this and found where they could cut without creating a budget that if there's something that happens and prices go up, then they would have nothing. I mean, so there's really not much cushion left unless you want to talk about programs they operate.
Right.
But again, most of them are a good number are here if you have questions, but they've all worked hard to cut it.
I've said this before, to get into day-to-day line items and stuff, there's no way I'm not in that day-to-day, and so to know what they need.
And
there's no sense in wobbling over $50 here and there, that kind of thing that you're spending money on. You just can't. And I trust the eyes that have looked at this, and I made this assumption that somebody said last year. I asked for an honest, go back and cut what you can. You know what you can get out of there, and some did to a certain degree, and I think that was good. But yeah, you got to maintain. And there may be someday it comes to that point where you have to make a choice what you're going to serve and what you're not going to serve. So.
Yeah.
And like you said, to make a mill levy cut that amount, we're looking at cutting either whole sections or a ton of people.
Right.
And it's what services do we not want to have in the county, or something like that. And I'm not looking at your list here. I'm not seeing anything that jumps off the page of some exorbitant amount.
There's ways to do it, but it's not favorable.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can always make cuts, but there's a lot of mandated, this is just general fund, but there's a lot of mandated departments in the general fund. You could cut them back a little bit, but you still have to provide adequate services, and then you have...
And you got to leave them functional.
Yeah.
I mean, we've all firsthand know what cutting IT could be when they ask for a program, and what the program cost us a few years ago, just that had it not been in place and the hacker would have been successful, just to mail the people and tell them that the mailing, original mailing, would have cost 3 times what the program cost. I mean, there's places to look, and if somebody like that decides that we need to be protected harder, who are we? I mean, you can, sometimes a little bit you save costs you so much money in the long run that you'd have been way better off spending a little money up front. And once they get this thing down to that point, and a lot of mandates by law in a lot of different, by government in a lot of different areas of business, before they pass the law, they should ask the people who actually work there, because the law actually hurts them. So I guess my point is, you ask the people who are right there in the trenches and studying it every day. And when I was campaigning 4 years ago, it was made clear to me when I made a statement that, well, I think there's plenty of room for cuts. Gentleman got up, he's still employed here, and he said, we live right beside you. We pay the same taxes you do. Why would we do anything that would raise our own taxes? And that hit home to me. So I gotta respect that they're doing what's right for the county and for them and their families personally. So once you get down to this level, I mean, it's pretty much the have-tos. And I don't like paying taxes any more than anybody else, but at some point, I want certain things too. I want a nice road to drive in here to come to this meeting, and I've got it. You know, it's, what do you want? What are you willing to pay?
Are there any, and Commissioner, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I do have an updated of that calculator that has a different feature I want to show you guys. It's not ready to be public yet, but before I get there, maybe see if there's any, I mean, because we do have a lot of directors here, in case you guys had questions, or is there any department that you had not concerns about, but wanted to talk about? Because they have spent their whole morning here in case you had questions.
Yeah, I had the one, I mean, you know, it's something that I kind of know about, is this environmental division.
Yeah.
Because it kind of deals with what my profession was. I mean, when the prior commission went back to 4-2 for our code, on the wastewater, the water well part of this is cut and dry. It's state. I mean, it's not a it's not a county deal. You know, the wastewater is, but it's still pretty complicated. If you read through the county code compared to Bulletin 4-2, and really it should just take maybe one minimal person or medium person to oversee this wastewater program, because if you follow the state rules, all it should take is an inspection instead of 2 to 3 people. I'm just not seeing it. I being I know something about it, I see where this is money that I don't feel is needed to follow the state regulations. All of it, you know, some of it is needed, correct, but we don't have to have that much expense and that many people, you know, running this program. But there's
We're ready for,
Yeah.
we're ready for county commission reports.
Oh, Commissioner, one other, I wanted
Did you
to
want
show
to
you.
show that?
Yeah, just, we had talked about this, but there's some updates, so I'll just pick a random home.
If you want to pick mine, go ahead.
Well, I figured I'd zoom in. Actually, I could do a corporation.
You can find
Well,
out more about me
I don't, again, it's just pick, well, it's a church, but I guess they don't,
That won't
that won't
have
work,
any-
will it?
No. Unless they have some rental properties.
So pick a
there's-
house and just a house with just under $150,000 in appraised value. So it does, as we talked about, shows the breakdown between the state, county, the city the person's in, community college, and then that whatever school district. It breaks it down what they're paying total. But I wanted to point out that one of the features that Trevor has added out of this $644, as we talk about a value for county services, then we break down, here's what they're actually paying for. So with that, for sheriff and jail, they pay $116 a year for public safety from the sheriff. And it just kind of shows what that individual taxpayer is getting with the money they give to Reno County that they're mandated to give. This is what they're getting for that in 1 year. So it's just an added feature we put in there, just again to kind of show, to be transparent with county money. This is where their tax dollars is going.
And this is strictly county money, not
This
the
is the
other
county
taxing entities.
Yes. So when people talk about county taxes, this is
Will
the
it show
county
that
tax.
to the other entities too?
We don't have their information. When we put it out, we could let if the cities or the school districts, college, they want to give us that information, we could probably create that for
If
them.
they dare.
That's
But
the other
I think the city has further own. They have a dollar bill graphic. We probably, if they sent it to us, we could probably put it for ones in Hutchinson. The other cities, I don't know, they may have it or they could do it. But just kind of, this isn't public yet. Again, we're making sure all the bugs are taken care of before we put it out there. But it is a way to show, as we talk about taxes,
Well,
this is what they're paying for.
The sad part of it is, yes, and it's very clear here where it goes on a county level. But we collect the taxes. You write the check to Reno County for school districts and everybody else, and it gets immediately distributed.
Right.
We catch the flack for what they do. Whatever happens here, we need to catch the flack for. We're making the decision. But some of these other entities that we're getting the flack for, we really don't deserve, because we're just the guy in the middle collecting by law and putting out on the other end.
I love it. We've been
We
asking
got
for
a
a few.
treasurer over there that's shaking her head yes. She knows where the money goes.
She probably takes the most heat when people are paying the bills.
Well, I think where this hits home too, and some of the town halls with Michael went out, and he'd give an actual percentage of the town, what you were paying to the county versus the rest. And quite honestly, I think that shocked people about as much as anything I've seen, that they didn't realize that really the biggest part of their taxes is not the county. And so no, I just love this. I've wanted this forever, and I think it's great.
Yeah, and
That dude deserves a steak dinner. That's all I'm saying.
he does a great job with programming up there in IT. He's great, but once we get it completed, we'll be able to put it on our website or a link and get it out to the public. So we want it soon to the public, but we want to make sure there aren't any bugs and people, so it's getting close,
and
I
if
think.
and if you tried to buy security for personal use, you wouldn't even come close to that with that amount that you pay
Right.
the county or EMS services. You might not ever need them, but when you only need them one time, you want them there. And so it's not a very big expense as you divide up that dollar
Right.
for where it goes. And if you look at it, again, it's not like we have things up there that shouldn't be there. They're quality of life issues.
Yes. Okay. Thanks, Commissioners. Is there anything else you have on the budget? And I don't have a running total, but it was probably close to $500,000 that has been cut.
Well, some of these other issues, maybe Mr. Vincent had some things there, deserve some time here down the road before we get finalized, just a little bit, some inputs. Do you want further inputs from us if we see stuff along the way?
Yes.
that we can come back and discuss too.
Yeah, if you guys have ideas or questions, get them to me, and then, again, kind of have this almost like a standing agenda item to where we won't go into as much detail as today, but if there's any updates or questions, and if you let me know beforehand, instead of having all the directors here, I can contact a specific director if it's about a department beforehand.
Thank you, Randy, and let him talk to the directors. Go from there. County Commission reports. Ron, how about you starting it off
Really
this
haven't
time?
got them.
You covered some already. I
Well,
think.
much to say. Got my boat all ready for fishing, but can't catch a fish.
Too hot to fish.
Yeah, well, we went the other day, last Friday, when the cold front come through, and it was pretty nice out there. But it's not lack of equipment; it's lack of talent, I guess. So.
Maybe.
But no, everything's been pretty calm in District 3. I've not heard a peep from anybody last week.
Okay, thank you.
I have. Heard peeps from a few. Peeps. One thing I said I might bring up, and I had somebody send me some deck sheets from their insurance. They're actually insured out of a company in another state. I'm not going to divulge who anybody is, but they sent that. We did some research on it. I had some insurance agents do some research on it. And they have had a new arrival in their insurance. They insure farm and home, this company does. And they called to let me know, so they forwarded these things. And like I said, I sent it off to some agents I know, had them look, sent to John, I think. These companies are writing an addition to the deck sheet that will not cover you in the liabilities of industrial accidents. And it's pretty earmarked towards what we're talking about developing here in town and the county. I'm going to continue to do, I just want to bring this out today, I'm going to continue to bring this forward as I make 100% sure that this is true. But if it is, you will be exempted if something happens with one of these things that has a problem. Health-wise, property-wise, this is what the language was in there, that they will not cover. And you know, and as well as I do, what insurance companies can do. They love to exempt things and not pay coverages. And if that is the case, that shifts some liability perhaps on some people that would make decisions to make these things come here. I was a little disturbed, and I asked them to continue to forward this information to me so that I could do some discovery. Now, I will tell you that the companies that I used to look at this checked into their corporate, and they don't have anything like this in the pike. But if it's at one that's extending coverage, because their area is affected by that very heavily, this company, where it's out of that state, if they're doing it, the others are going to follow suit. So I just want you guys to be aware of that. I mean, that's probably the biggest twist to this whole plot. There will be, if that's in fact absolute, because I don't want to be liable for anything like that. I got to be honest. So we all know it may not happen, could happen, but that's a pretty big development. So I just thought I'd share that today.
Okay, is that it?
Yep.
Richard?
Well, of course, most of my constituency is the city of Hutch, but it's been pretty quiet. I talked last meeting about schools getting ready to start. Please be a vigilant and alert driver. I know they had a highway wreck where a worker for KDOT was injured, and I haven't read all the updates on that yet, but if you go into a work zone, or if you see a barrier, don't go around it, or don't speed. Please watch out. We have a great niece that's living with us, getting ready for school, and when we walk just a few blocks to get her there, we're always looking at the crosswalks, because I want to make sure she understands, even though we have the right of way, if a person's driving and they don't see you, they could take your life, and then we would be very devastated. So anyway, I just want to bring that up. It's been kind of quiet. for the city as the people are going there. Also, voting is coming up. You can do early voting, but yeah, please go out and vote. That's the civic responsibility. Thank you.
You ready for me?
Yes, sir.
Well, I don't have a whole lot. Been getting a few phone calls on various things, and a lot of them have to do with certain road projects and various things like that. And so far, there are things that have happened on the state roads. So I get to tell them, hey, we don't have anything to do with that. Some paving that's been done and various things on exits from the road that are controlled by the state. So I was glad that we didn't have to address anything like that. It was all on state roads. Other than that, like Richard says, exercise your right to vote. Who you choose is who you choose. But something that kind of hurts me a little bit is some of these ads that are out there that I know are false. I know some of these people. And I think back to when the last election where I was running, when you make a false statement or create a scenario that maybe you don't out and out say something, but you imply something. Most of us, this happened to a candidate I knew, and he just shrugged it off and says, it's part of the territory. But you got to remember, he's got a family. He's got a wife. She's got a husband. Actually, it hurt the family worse than it hurt him. He expected that kind of crap to happen. I just wish they'd be a little more truthful in their ads, because I know some that are out there that are simply false. I mean, if it's true, you got to wear it. But some of this false stuff, some of this AI created stuff that's going on shouldn't be happening. I mean, just out of principle. I guess we live with some unprincipled people. And maybe I shouldn't be even making a comment like that, but when you live it and see it firsthand, you're sitting there thinking about things because we've got another election here we're in the middle of. You sincerely hope that people conduct themselves properly.
Covered the election pretty good. I just want to say that regarding elections, Randy and Michael Plank have put together something here that we need to be involved with and to think about. And that is some specific items that refer to counties and how the legislature needs to know about the county and city organizations, and how those specific laws and policies will affect us. And so this will come about after the election, but it's just one of those things I think we need to start thinking about as individual commission members, is what are the items with either laws or policies or mandates that affect the county level. And there'll be some meetings coming up that we'll meet with the legislators, the newly elected legislators. And so please get ready to participate in that and be thinking about things like extension office for one, and other things, okay, that we've just been through with the budget on. That they seem to think that that all of the problems run down here to the county level and city level with regard to ad valorem taxes. And I wrote one of the candidates here the other day that I said, well, maybe you need to look at alternative revenue sources for schools. But anyway, that's just some of the things. We talked about the potential to be able to set a sales tax locally without going to the state to get their big brother permission to do something. And so those are some of the things that we think about doing. So keep that in mind that Michael will be contacting each of us to get ready to have a meeting with the newly elected legislators. Good timing, good thought. And congratulations to all the 4-H'ers. And with that, I will get ready to have Randy comment.
I don't have much. I just wanted, actually, it's about elections. I just wanted to remind you, the next meeting, you're going to start with the canvass. The election canvass, 9 a.m. over at the annex. So the county commission meeting, and I'll talk with Jenna before setting this up, maybe at 9:30, 9:45 to start over here. Not sure how long it takes, but when you get the next agenda, it'll show the commission meeting, probably 9:30. But you still start at 9 o'clock. Just go to the annex first for the, and I know Commissioner Bogner, you're not available, and Michelle is willing to sit in. So the Register of Deeds will be the alternate on the canvas.
Might have to advertise that like they do land sales. So many acres plus or minus, such and such a time plus or minus.
Maybe I'll put a calendar invite and be on your phones or something. But that's all I have.
Okay, all right. Next on the agenda is anyone with public comment on items not on the agenda?
I think they were, but we wearied them.
Did we wear everybody out?
I think we did.
Okay. And so from there, we'll go to an executive session, and somewhere I've got a motion. Move to approve the open meeting of the Board of County Commissioners of Reno County be recessed to an executive session for the purpose of obtaining legal advice regarding a privileged item pursuant to the attorney-client privilege. And that'll be the first motion. I'll take a second on that.
I'll take a second.
Okay, go
Been
ahead.
moved and seconded. I don't think there's any, so we'll take a roll call vote on that.
Commissioner Parks,
Yes.
Commissioner Vincent,
Yes.
Commissioner Winger,
Yes.
Commissioner Bogner,
Yes.
Commissioner Hurst.
Yes. And I will move the board enter executive session until 11:45.
Did we do that correct? Did we have to include the names, you guys, or is it just the board? Seeing
This
as
is-
how
this-
we don't know,
this
some of
is-
us don't know what this is about. We better have somebody with us.
This will be a new motion here.
Oh.
We've got two motions here.
Oh, I'm
It's a little
sorry.
change in the operation.
Okay, I'm sorry.
And you're all right. I move the board enter executive session until 11:45 a.m. with the county administrator and county counselor, the commission, the subject matter to be legal obligations of the county, and the justification for the executive session is consultation with an attorney for the body which would be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship. I'll take a second.
I'll second that.
Commissioner,
Okay.
just to verify, it's you're 12:45. You said 11. So
Oh, I guess it is 12:30, isn't it? 12:45 p.m.
My stomach's telling me it's
Okay.
12:30. Anyway, I'll second that.
Okay, moved and seconded. Officially, I have to ask for comments, questions, but roll call, please.
Commissioner Parks,
Yes.
Commissioner Vincent,
Yes.
Commissioner Winger,
Yes.
Commissioner Bogner.
Are we voting on both questions at this time or what?
I think you just go to executive session.
Yeah, just something.
Yes, either way.
Commissioner Hurst.
Yes. Now, I don't know how much here, since we didn't do some of these things, to sign, but we'll come back here and finish that. So we'll go upstairs. Okay, well, back from recess and open meeting again, and no decisions, final decisions were made, any decisions were made, so we will conclude the meeting and adjourn.